So there's a thing I wanted... It's the thing I wanted to say. And I was all set to say it. And then I wound up crashing last week and not having the energy to stream, let alone say a thing. And I would like to say it today, but I won't say it as well as I would have if I were feeling better, which I'm not feeling great today, unfortunately. But I'm holding up and I'm hanging in there. And I will eventually, hopefully, be a normal, healthy Lauren. No, I was frustrated at the some of the conversations that we had last week. So I wanted to drop a hot take before we dive into Disco Elysium and play video game stuff. And I actually started trying to do a little bit of research because I wanted to have some research and some suggested reading to back it up. And I started pulling that together. But my health is not at the stage to do that. So instead, I'm going to kind of drop my hot take and go. For anyone who has not watched my Disco Elysium streams in the past, just to give you some context, I talk a lot about my personal feelings, my personal experiences, my perspective on the world, the things that I've read or experienced or heard other people talk about. Sometimes in the context of the game, sometimes we kind of go off on like unrelated tangents. And I usually talk about these things regardless of what game we're playing, just because that's how I roll. Like we have some serious talks about serious subjects when I'm playing Paper Mario. So, like, that's how I roll. But Disco Elysium is probably the most that I've talked about things like that. The only one I can think of that might have challenged that could potentially be Deltarune. But that's just partly because I just vibe with Deltarune on such a profound level that I just have a lot of things to say about it. Disco Elysium is specifically and intentionally, it is asking questions about these bigger things. It is tackling this kind of thing. It wants you to think about these things. Like, there are games that are trying to talk about something important, but you can also just not talk to anybody, not pay any attention to the story, turn your brain off, and just enjoy the gameplay. Like, I feel like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, does an outstanding job of targeting, like, really painfully relevant real-world problems and trying to make a few statements and points about them. But you could just ignore all of that and just run around shooting robots. Disco Elysium's not that. There is no Disco Elysium playthrough that is not in some way connected to serious real-world stuff. Even if you choose to play it as clown shoes as possible, even if you don't take its content seriously, even if you're just horsing around, that is like, you can't play the game without digging into these things. And so that's part of why I talk so much about them. So I wanted to kind of follow up before we dive in so that folks who really want to avoid these tangents watching my stream can just cut past the Discourse Elysium. I've got this screen tells you that you don't, like, if you don't want to do that and you just want to see gameplay reactions, I guess they'll skip ahead. No, so we wound up getting on a tangent that I feel is pretty far removed from what Disco Elysium wants to tackle. But I kind of do want to say a piece, tie it back to a few things that are a little more relevant to Disco Elysium, and then we'll move back and play the game. But I mean, if you'll remember, I got really frustrated and heated when we were talking about beliefs and the cryptozoologist's wife and her talking about cryptozoology. And it originally started with me just being like, it is rude to step on someone's toes and say something demeaning to them out of the blue when they have said nothing harmful to you. Because there's a great many people out there who hold beliefs and who value things in life that I don't agree with, but that don't harm anyone. And also, when you're having a conversation with someone and you do disagree with them in a way that you think that their ideas are actually harmful, kind of going and swinging is not always appropriate to the situation. I want to preface this by saying, like, sometimes you gotta punch a Nazi, and there are circumstances in which being polite is I don't think that it's healthy to say that in all circumstances one must always be polite, and there are people who do value politeness over punching a Nazi. Like, they're like, no, in no circumstances is it appropriate to do that. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't argue with people if they say something that you think is harmful. But I did want to address, I was a little disturbed by how prevalent a certain mindset seems to be among the people who watch this. And it's something that I am not an expert on, but that I find concerning. So the truth of the matter is, a lot of human beings have beliefs in things that are not tangible. And a lot of cultures around the world have beliefs that influence the way they look at the world, the way they view their place in the world. And you don't have to be one of those people. You can be an atheist and a skeptic all you want. I tend to think of myself as a fairly skeptical person in a lot of ways, which is why I tend to try to have references and resources to look at if I say something. And if I find like an article or an essay or something like that, I always want to kind of judge like who is saying it, how trustworthy are they, do other sources agree with them. So to some degree, like I understand skepticism, but I'm gonna straight up say, if you believe that everybody who holds a belief, who holds some sort of a faith tradition, needs to stop that, and you want to eradicate other people's belief systems, what you're advocating is cultural genocide. And that's not what you mean, but it's an evangelical mentality that carries over into some forms of atheism as an inheritance from their evangelical Christian background that they're getting away from. And so by wanting to eradicate people's faith traditions that are an intrinsic part of their cultural background, you are talking about eradicating their cultural background. And in some ways, that is no different than taking people from, for example, indigenous communities and forcing them to perform Christianity. So there's a Jewish thinker who's also, I believe, a game writer. Jessica Price is her name. You can find her on Twitter, and she's had a lot of things to say about the way that evangelical atheism, that is a very Christian form of atheism, that is only able to view people's faith from the perspective of Christianity, who only defines faith with a definition that is specific to Christianity, and who oppose all faiths as though they are this particular Christianity. She calls out the basically cultural genocide of that mentality. And so if you have objections to the way that organized religion can do great harm in the world, I'm here with you for that. I think we can objectively say that there are a lot of organized religions that have done objectively harm to a great number of people and continue to do so. The problem is the harm that they perpetuate, not the fact that there are people in the world who believe in something supernatural. So my hot take is, do a little reading, do a little research, check yourself, and make sure that you are not advocating for the erasure of other people's cultures because you are angry that Christianity hurt you and other people. Because yes, there's a lot of atheism that is formed by people being ex-Christians, and so that kind of culturally becomes a Christian atheism, and it has the same evangelical "I must convert everybody to my same belief system" that the Christians that they're trying to step away from are trying to do, and it's very harmful. I don't know that I would say it's as harmful, but it is harmful, and so if you want to be a person who is compassionate and respectful of other people, then I would say go against harmful behaviors, but challenge yourself and make sure that what you're doing is not because you are pursuing the ideological purity of the eradication of faith, but instead an action to remove harm from the world. Yes, Aether, I have. Despite having been raised as an agnostic, raised by an agnostic mother and an atheist Jew father, I grew up in Dallas, Texas in the 90s. Guess who came out of the closet in her mid-30s? Because I was surrounded by the Southern Baptist mentality. I went to a large public school in which we were taught abstinence-only education. So yes, I have been personally harmed by religion, not in the same way that somebody who is raised within faith, but being surrounded by a harmful and destructive culture that taught me to hate part of myself and lock it inside of myself. Because when I was, 19 or 20, I still was voting, because I went to university kind of near the suburb that I grew up, still in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And so my address to vote was still, my hometown was still where I grew up. And I remember going to vote because the state of Texas wanted to make marriage equality against its state constitution, and there were people surrounding me in line who had been bussed there by their churches to make sure that this sin was stopped. So yes, I am not saying that religion does not do harm, that organized religions do not do harm, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't oppose the groups that are doing harm. I'm saying that if you are applying a universal filter to how you engage with everyone in the world, where you say, because I was harmed by this particular group of people that have faith, everyone who has faith needs to have that taken away from them, that's a trauma reaction, but it's not actually addressing the problem. So one thing that I do find really interesting, I think that the need to believe in something larger than ourselves is a basic human need. And I think that the need to put faith in something is part of why people, if they don't turn to religion, they will turn to someone and something else. They will put their faith in something. They want to believe that somebody has the answers, because the world is a cold, scary place. And no, I'm not talking about Kim. Kim was a little rude. I'm talking about the ongoing conversation that we had as a community as a result of me being annoyed that Kim was rude. Because I think we can all say, like, Kim is intentionally being rude. He's trying to cut off this woman. Some people were saying that they think Kim is being rude because he wants to make sure that Ocelot doesn't wind up getting involved in this. So he's cutting it off before it can get that way. And he's being a bit aggressive in doing so. Regardless of the reason why, he is being rude. He knows he's being rude. He's intentionally being rude. And I called him out for being rude. But then we had this ongoing conversation in which people in the audience talked about, well, we should really just stomp on anybody's belief in the supernatural. And I was like, this makes me really uncomfortable, but I wasn't quite able to articulate it as well as I wanted to. And that's what I'm trying to say here. But I do think that people want somebody or something to have the answers. And this can be as big as putting your faith in, a particular individual or a particular church or something like that, some sort of religious organization. Or it could be wanting to put your faith in your politicians, or it could be wanting to put your faith in somebody that you have designated as an expert. it makes me a bit uncomfortable the way, and I've talked about this before, the way people will cite YouTubers talking about these things that they're experts or purportedly experts on. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But there is kind of this need to want somebody to know the information and be able to guide you. And, you know, I can't quite put my faith, like, I don't have a group or an individual or something like that. And it's a little bit unmooring, you know, but I think that that's a natural human need, and people put that faith in something. For example, I'm going to tie it into Disco Elysium a little bit here, and this is going to be a continued hot take. And that is that I do feel that people will put their political beliefs in place of where religious faith might have once been. And that's part of why I think people get uncomfortably reactive if you criticize or disagree with them. And I'm not talking about things like believing in, equal rights for different groups of people. I'm talking about the ideals of the ideals of a political philosophy. Hi, Gundy. Yeah, we're having some heavy talks right here. So I was a little upset also the last stream because I felt that the game was calling me out for being a centrist in a way that didn't feel like it fit me. And my tendency is to try to be ready to criticize myself and to see flaws in my own beliefs, my own actions, for better or for worse. I am always challenging myself, and I don't have like a steady faith in myself at all times. As a defining trait, I just don't. And there are problems with that, I can tell you. I think it's good to have more confidence than I have, but it is also good to still be open to well, is this hard? Like, is this thing I was accused of true? Is there some truth to that? But the things that they were talking about in that didn't apply to me. Even if, like, there are people, and it is true that I personally don't ascribe to a particular political philosophy as put forth in this game. You know, I'm not a communist. I'm not a fascist. I'm not a whateverist. Fill in the blank. I am an incrementalist. I do believe it depends. I do believe that you should take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, because I'm frankly not comfortable putting my faith in a philosophy. I don't believe that there are any great political thinkers who've uncovered the truth to how human society should work. And I feel like people tend to have an almost religious worship sometimes of the political figures who birthed these political philosophies. And it makes me uncomfortable. And that's one of the reasons why I could never be a communist, for example. I consider myself a democratic socialist because I think that you can take elements from democracy as we've conceived of it, elements of a socialist way of organizing things, and make what seems like a relatively healthy society based on what we as a species have figured out so far. But it does kind of weird me out when people start citing communist texts as though they're holy writ, just as it makes me uncomfortable when people cite the Constitution of the United States as though it is a sacred text. And people do that too. That all makes me very uncomfortable. So I think even people who think that they have stepped away entirely from faith and consider themselves atheists may have placed their faith in something else. And I think it is good to challenge yourself, be self-aware enough to realize if maybe you are doing that. Not necessarily that you're wrong for doing that, but at least be aware of what you're doing and own it and try to minimize whatever harm you might cause with the mentality that you have and the way that you react to the world accordingly. So that's my hot take. And I'm not gonna debate this because I don't actually consider debating things to be a morally superior action, and I don't believe that the refusal to debate things is an admission of defeat. And that's a hot take too. No, it's all right. I'm just saying that just straight off the bat. I'm not calling anyone out because I think you folks are, I think, being pretty respectful. I feel like I mean, maybe I'll have run off my viewership. But I don't think any of this really is a surprise to anybody. No, it's a conversation. Mostly, I just want to say this is what I think. What I'm asking you to do is to try as hard as you can to objectively look at yourself. The only way I can know anything about myself is by pulling away and trying to look at myself. I don't have that intrinsic sense of self, so I have to figure myself out by observation. And sometimes I realize that what I had observed is not reliable, and then I have to reevaluate. But I do think that it is really helpful to challenge yourself, not because you're wrong, but so that you know what your personal filter is, you know what your personal bias is, and you know why you're doing the things that you're doing. You can continue to do them. You can continue to hold the beliefs you once held. Just know what you're doing. Just be intentional. That's all I'm asking of you. You don't have to agree with me about this. That's fine. Just think about what you do believe in and why. And I would say don't be a zealot, regardless of what you're a zealot for. Because zealots tend to be blinded, and zealots tend to hurt people. You can be a true believer, you can challenge your beliefs and come out stronger in your faith, whatever that faith may be, but don't be a zealot. And you know, Jessen, when I make generalizations about humanity, I do not mean every single human ever born in the history of the human race is exactly like this. But I am saying that the majority of people that I know of in my extensive study of, you know, history and literature, the art that we create, the actions that people take, do seem to indicate, and my understanding from talking extensively to many, many people, shockingly, I talk to a lot of people, including random strangers, at all points in my life. Like, if you are stuck beside me on an airplane, I am sorry, my friend, but we're going to talk about things. But if you're feeling defensive, then especially if you're feeling defensive about the things I say, that means that something hit close to home. And I ask you, instead of arguing with me, sit and think if maybe there is some truth that is applicable to you. It may need to be translated from my generalization to the specifics of your situation. But why do you feel so challenged and threatened by me saying this? Sit and think with that. Sit with that discomfort. Actually interrogate yourself. Actually interrogate both your beliefs and your actions. And just try to be the best person that you can, doing the most good and the least harm that you can. That's what I ask. You don't have to share the same beliefs that I do. So yeah. So all that said, I don't actually think that Disco Elysium is actually saying, Lauren, you're a centrist. It's trying to do something within the framework of its own universe as things are defined in its universe. And I get that. And also, it is presenting us with a false dichotomy of sorts. I don't know if dichotomy is exactly the right word. You know, I don't know that I would say that capitalism is the most evil thing that has ever been created, because there are a lot of evil things that have been done. But it's definitely on the list. See, this is what I mean. I have to hedge things. That's just how I am. But no, Disco Elysium presents you with these discrete, separate possibilities. There's not room for other beliefs. There's not room for other philosophies. There's not room for stepping outside of them necessarily. It's like these are the points that we are exploring, and they're relevant to the world of Disco Elysium. We're going to look at them through the lens of Disco Elysium. I do think that the game writers want you to think about them outside of the game and actually in the world itself. But I don't think that they're actually telling me that this is a belief system that I uphold. They're saying, like, the answers that you're giving are in line with this particular path that we have offered you. And so we're going to talk about that. And that's fine. Yeah, and because, like, all of our beliefs of any sort are going to be rooted in our origins and our experiences, like, it is very clear to me when I play this game that the writers are not approaching things from the same background that I am. There's a lot that goes over my head, a lot that I simply lack the context to understand, or that I will interpret differently than them because I come from a different part of the world, a different background, different experiences. That's just how it is. But I can take Disco Elysium and try kind of to figure out what they're going for. But at the end of the day, my playthrough is always going to be Disco Elysium filtered through Lauren the Flute's perspective. A particular individual, particular age, particular life experiences from a particular part of the world. And that's just all there is to it. If I wanted to have a different kind of experience, what I could do every time I encounter something is stop and figure out what was the writing team thinking when they created this. You know, what is the, like, Estonian perspective on this, for example, or Estonian perspectives. It's an entire country. It doesn't have one opinion, but you know what I mean. But that's not the playthrough that I'm having. I'm just going to give you the Lauren the Flute version. Again, as I've said, I'm not a historian. I'm not a political philosopher. I am a literature person. So, but for better or for worse, that's what we've got. So how's that? On the scale of hot takes, I really wasn't sure. I was like, is this a hot take or is this like a lukewarm take? I don't know. But I wanted to say that I think I did okay, despite being really tired earlier today. I've been trying to act like I'm healthy, and then being like, why am I so tired? My roommate's like, well, Lauren, you're still recovering. I'm like, oh, okay. So some people thought it was a hot take. Some people thought it was like room temperature, medium warm. That's really interesting to me. Because I do think that folks will have, depending on, I think, how personally affronted you are by what I say, your perception of my take will be that it's more or less hot. But all right, well, thank you. I'm glad. And I do think that like I said, I think Jessica Price is her name, and she's a very good thinker and writer on subjects like this. As somebody who was raised partially culturally Jewish, but largely outside of that, it's been very interesting for me to kind of unpack and decolonize my own mindset, because I don't really like the fact that Christianity wound up shaping a lot of things in my life without my consent or conscious, like, awareness. So trying to excise that. But also, like, I think the Quakers are awesome, for example. So, like, all right. I'm going to go with it then. Are we ready to actually play this video game? Let's do it. All right. Chrono has a thing he wants to say. Apparently, you folks talked about the thing that Chrono is going to tell me in the spoiler chat, and folks determined that I needed to know something. I believe that's what it is, right? Right, Chrono? Is that correct? There was a warning the game was supposed to give me, but for some reason it did not. It is a mystery why that happened. So we're going to give me the information that I ought to have. And that seems to work. I'm fine with that. The tutorial person. Okay, so Chrono is giving me what the warning is. I will read it out loud on stream for everyone else. And we're going to turn the music and audio back up. Turn it down because I wanted to talk and that stuff is loud. This is quiet. Oh, man. We're going to see how well we do today. See if I can get my character killed. Hopefully not. If you do not manage to secure a room at the Whirling and Rags by the end of this day, the game ends. Really? That's interesting. I wonder if that means we're about to have... I mean, I imagine that if you sleep on the street in the weather that they're having here, you're probably at risk of dying no matter what. But... It soft locks you. Oh, is this like a Sierra style, the game is screwed up for you forever because you did this thing wrong? And you won't know about it? Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna... That's really interesting. Huh. Okay. Well... I thought we didn't do things like that anymore, video games. Everyone tells me that Sierra's problems are problems of the past. Ocelot Disco Elysium is a Sierra protagonist. Oh no, Ocelot, you haven't died nearly enough times. Sierra, like, thank you, Chrono. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, Chrono wanted to tell me that potentially off stream, and I was like, no, I'd rather receive that information on stream so that everybody who's part of this adventure can be part of me receiving the warning. So I have received it. Don't worry, I'm not going to try to kill Ocelot just because I've discovered that this is actually a Sierra adventure game. My favorites were always King's Quest. Yeah, no, Gundy, but I think that's a valid and important thing to keep in mind. It's basically they picked which examples they wanted for their own reasons, and those are the ones that we're going with. It's an artificially limited set. The biggest backseating of all is backseating from your previous playthrough because you have to restart. Man, I don't know. We'll see what winds up happening. So last time I got a sweet coat. Look at how cool I am. My gloves really go really well with it. We talked to this guy. Hold on. I can check this right here. All right. Tuesday's goals. Open trash container. There's a locked trash container behind the whirling in rags. The manager, Gartha, should have a key. Alternatively, you could use brute force to pry the lid open. You just need a pry bar. Well, I have a pry bar, but I think I'm going to ask Gartha if he'll let me in. The problem is if I ask him and he gets mad and says no, and then I break in, he's going to know it's me. However, really, they should allow the cops doing the investigation to be able to explore the crime scene. So let's see. Explore the Whirling's secret passages. Yes, because there was that mysterious door. There are strange doors in the Whirling. No one knows where they lead. Find a way in and see what's hidden there in the hostile cafeteria's forgotten corners. Also, apparently the name that they give the guy, the thing that he says, if I remember correctly, is basically sort of similar, it's the name of a food item that's kind of like cup noodle. So his name, or the thing that you can call him, is basically cup noodle. Thank you so much to the individual who roughly translated that. I know that cup noodle is not exactly what they said it was, but that was my cultural equivalent of what they told me it was. Garton might know I'll break things if he doesn't let me in. He is rather aware of Ocelot's proclivity for breaking things. I have demonstrated that full well before the start of the game. I didn't demonstrate it, Ocelot did. Okay, so I think I can do that. Find Morel, the cryptozoologist. So we will take a look for him when we get the chance. Okay, well, it turns out that Ocelot and I are united in our appreciation for property damage. The only difference is I don't actually exist in the universe in which I am causing property damage, and Ocelot does. Oh man. Gosh. That's right. We're going to talk to Evrart Claire. That's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be bad. I do need to talk to the drivers. Pretty sure they indicated that my buddy, Mr. Man, is potentially the one who did it, which sucks because I really like him, but it's fine. Oh, I need to talk to Kuno about the armor. I'm sure that confronting that child is going to go really well. Okay, I can't do this yet. That's gonna happen on Wednesday morning. We are on Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Yes, we are on Tuesday. See, it says so right there. I need to call about the armor. I need to figure out about painting this. I need to talk to that girl. Man, it's all these things. Where am I gonna find my gun? I don't know. It's probably gonna be waved in my face and possibly kill me. It's gonna be great. Smoker on the balcony. We're gonna do that tonight, ostensibly. Why can't I just crash on his couch? But I would soft lock myself if I crashed on his couch. Plus, probably when I actually go in to talk to him, I will realize why I don't want to sleep on his couch. And then we will look back on the moment that I said this and we will laugh. We will laugh if we like go into his like drug den that has like literally no furniture and I'm like, oh, there's not even a couch or whatever the deal may be. We don't know. Let's see. The Hanged Man's boots. All right. This will be devilishly tricky, they say. We'll see if I can manage it. I don't know that this is going to happen, and I probably should have picked a different option for this, but that's fine. I need to talk to Joyce again. I need to sing karaoke. I guess that's a good idea. Oh, I need to call the Sylvie person. I need to ask people about the tattoos. I need to remember that I can do that. There's a thing with Joyce, but I need my badge. Or I do a favor. See if I can find my badge. Maybe I'll just stumble across it. Miracles happen. They do, potentially. This one is tricky. We'll need to see what we can find. I think I have like $3. So I'm not real. I'm not actually close. I need to do that. Okay. Yeah, we've done that. Okay. All right. So we took a leap of faith and did not, in fact, smash ourselves to smithereens. I think I got like $3. Let's see. Again, it's not actually dollars, it's real, but where is my which screen says it? I do have some bottles. Was I not able to turn in the bottles last night? I guess I wasn't. I don't remember. Yeah, just to warn you folks, my memory is particularly bad this week. It is not good. So we're just going to deal. Where's my monies? How do I check my monies? Oh, you can just right click on it. Oh, that's so much easier. Oh my God, I've really struggled with equipping things, but you just right click on it and it puts it there. That's good. Yes, the power of pants and shoes taken off. I really like a bird. I feel like that should be, I need to make an illustration of pantsless, shoeless ocelot flying. Whee! Oh, on the main HUD? Okay. Oh. Oh, look at that. I have $7. Well, 7 real. That's more than I thought. What is this? Did I look in this yet? Oh, wait, what am I observing? The musk of oil and rust comes from the chasm in front of you. Smells like blood. Huh. Yeah. Is it locked or is it empty? Did I already get something from this last week? Or do I need to use my crowbar and open it? Because I absolutely will. Oh, you guys aren't getting the audio. Oh, no, you're right. Okay. I forgot that I hadn't hit that. So that means you've had like literally no audio this entire, or no game audio this entire time. Okay. Aha! There's a man way over there. Nobody else is here. Kim might object. All right. Let's take a look at these. Falm Ultra Series gloves. +1 half-light, unfiltered contact. For ultimate performance efficiency, these Falm Ultra Series gloves come fingerless and with a grippy padding covering the palms, making these ideal for quadrupedal movement or for lifting cargo. So I assume that means climbing, carrying. What is half-light? Half-light. I always say it half-life. I'm sorry. I imagine I'm probably not the only one. Sorry, I have to move my camera out of the way because it was blocking the screen. Sorry. What is half-light? Let the body take control. Threaten people. Probably not gonna do that. That doesn't sound like me. High-strung investigators shoot now, ask questions later. Cops surprise haters. Your fight or flight response. Sense the way situations are about to turn. It injects palpable fear into your heart. Fear that urges you to act before it's too late to act ever again. Fear that makes you frighten others. There's the aggression that lets you squeeze every last drop of information out of a witness. So you become jumpy and afraid of everything if you're too high. But I don't have any points in it. So. Ah! Inventory. I have so many fingerless gloves because I'm cool. Look at how cool I am. This is a cool man. To be fair, he does look cool. Interfacing. Half-light. I feel like half-light actually might be more useful here because I don't have very many points in half-light. So I'm unlikely to be afraid of everything. But that might help something. Plus I look cooler. Okay, well. What else have I overlooked? Oh. Meme fanfic. Is there, you mean a meme fanfic of this game? I already looked at that. We're just gonna look around a little bit if you don't mind. Because I feel like I was getting really tired when we were here last. And it has been 2 weeks. Half-Life. Okay, it's a Half-Life reference. Okay. Alright, so just taking inventory here. What is that? Oh, hello. What is this? Kvalsund means whale fjord in Arden. I'm gonna save because I'm scared. I have not. What is this? Oh, look at that! Hey, check it out! I'm almost halfway to what I need to have a place to stay so I don't soft lock myself. We're just gonna walk around a bit because he gets thoughts. He observes things. Did I come from this way? How would I not have noticed that? What is this? What is this? Oh, there's Measurehead.
A rusting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marsh and Arrête. are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. A container is attached to its hook block.
This one means go and this one means stop. That may not be the exact 100% literal translation of marsh, but I'm pretty sure that means go. And I know Evrart means stop. So, look at my French. I studied French for 5 years. I'm not good at it, but... Oh, does that count as encyclopedia? Yes. Amazing. And as I always give the caveat, I do not speak any languages but English, so my pronunciation will not be good, but I will try.
Marsh. On. Arrête. Off.
Whatever, it's go and stop. I know that means stop. So that means that, like, just like on and... Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna... It's just really interesting to me that on and off are the words that we have wound up with in English, but I think go and stop are the words that they wound up with in the same places in French, and that's just interesting. I'm not going to press either of those. Thanks, Encyclopedia. We'll pass on that for now. We gotta go investigate everything. Measurehead's down there. Oof, there's some bits up here. How do I get up there? I want to get up there. I don't know if I can. Somewhere around here is the remnants of my bad decisions. I really want to see what this is. This looks interesting. I guess it's money. Save the game. Look. It's a Sierra game, alright. Can I go through here? This might be a bad idea. I'm not supposed to be up here. We'll see what happens. The radio is emitting strange buzzing sounds. This looks like a break room. Every worker equals member of the board is written at the top of the flyers. And at the bottom, the union logo and demand democracy. That's interesting. You could just not notice that. All right. So, truly, power to the people. This is a Dewey typewriter. The model name is on the back. Okay, so we have typewriters. Well, that's good to know. A standard office file cabinet. The drawers seem to be locked. Someone left the coffee machine on. The dark liquid in the pot looks almost sentient. Oh, jeez. Okay. In some video games that are very video gamely, you just can take everything out of everywhere, out of everybody's place. You know, just like, sure, take grandma's savings from underneath the bed. That's fine. In some games, if you take things, guards, you're a thief. And then they like kill you, or they throw you out of town, or they call you thief. In some games, it depends on whether you're seen doing it. So if I were to like gamify things here, I could be like, all right, is this going to be a game where they punish or respond to the fact that I took things? Yes, you could put a basket over their head and then take all their cheese. I know that much about Skyrim. But I am a cop investigating things. I'm not supposed to be where I am, but I'm not supposed to be here at all anyway. I can always just play crazy. At the very least, I can try to be like, I'm the wackadoodle. And Kim can be like, I'm so sorry. I've been trying to stop him this whole time. So, I don't know. What is the deal with this postcard? I want to know. I'm curious. So I have to kind of settle on, or try to settle on, what is Lauren's philosophy of, like, what am I going to do about just randomly taking stuff? I've been mostly taking people's money if it's laying around outside. I did not take the money hidden in the kitchen, because that clearly was placed there by the person who works in the kitchen, as opposed to, like, somebody dropped a few dollars over here, in which case it's fair game. But if it's more than a few dollars, then it's not fair game. You know, like, if somebody, like, has, like, dropped, like, a quarter, you can pick up that quarter and you're fine. But if you, like, discover, like, a pile of, like, $50, you want to find who that $50 goes to. You know, there's something about that. There's some sort of a distinction there. A postcard might be evidence, and I'm really curious, and I'm a cop, and everyone here is corrupt, and there's a lot of bad guys. There's a lot of different flavors of bad guys. I'm gonna hold on just a sec. I'm putting on socks. When I get nervous, I have the very charming habit of picking at my feet, so I'm gonna put socks on so that I can't do that. It's good. Also, that way, in case my camera falls, I won't be breaking Twitch terms of what's the word? T-O... Yes. But the TOS. What does the S stand for? I told you my memory is not working. This is why Ocelot and I get along so well. Terms of service. Thank you. Terms of socks. Terms of socks. I'm not breaking Twitch's terms of socks. Thank you, Morkel. That's good. I appreciate that. Tales of Socks. Oh no. Well, only if it has Motoi Sakuraba soundtrack, then it can be. That's fine. I would play Tales of Socks, or at least I would listen to the soundtrack. It's a funny joke because he's the composer for Tales of Fantasia and I think a couple of the other Tales games. But I mostly know him from Star Ocean and Valkyrie Profile and apparently Dark Souls. It's the only soundtrack he's ever made that doesn't sound like the same. I know he didn't do all the Tales. I know there's at least one Tales he didn't do. Hi, Stolen Light, welcome. Yes, Baten Kaitos, which my sister is absolutely obsessed with and is losing her mind over the fact that it's being remade. So I guess I'll be playing that. So look forward to that, folks. I guess our food will rot. All right, let's take this postcard and see what happens. We are Aether. I love Sakurabas. Okay, I still don't know why I got stuck on the sock drawer in Undertale. Sometimes I'm like, oh, my controller's broken, but I don't know if we figured that out. Did we figure that out? So now I have multiple postcards. I have a bunch of postcards. Let's look at this postcard. This laminated postcard offers a glimpse across the river. A little more than a decade after the war, the eastern bank is already fully renovated. Interesting. The hillsides are lush with gardens and residences. Someone's parked a small beige airship by the fountain. This postcard will sell for a pretty penny. Because it's a pretty postcard. No, okay, so we have airships. We have airships. That's good to know. All right, airships. So the eastern bank is fully renovated. I guess, are we on the western bank now? Because it is definitely not renovated. 21. So here's something else from 37, which and 39. 46. Where, yeah, 50, it's 51. So this is literally 30 years ago. That's interesting. So it seems to me that these postcards are, I mean, I can probably sell them and everything. Oh, that one is, look at that. It's worth like 3 times what the others are. they seem like they're mostly for world building, you know, just to give you a sense of the place, what it feels like, what it looks like, and so on. I'm getting in trouble. What is this? A book? Book La Fumée, Volume 1, Number 4. The Smoker? I must be wrong. Oh, it's a thing that I can ask people about. The leading intellectual organ of Martinet's communism offers a radical Mazovian perspective. Matzovian, I don't know how that should be said. Is it Matzovian? Mazovian perspective on a range of contemporary issues. The cover features a stylized portrait of the late King Frisell with a pair of white antlers growing out of his head. Oh, the antlers. We saw the antlers. That was part of the it was in the hallway of the apartment complex. It was like the logo of, was that the logo of like the communist, basically the Communist Party in Revachol? Mazov. Try. Oh, look at that. Did I just remember something? I mean, admittedly, there's context here, but I did recognize the significance of that. Okay. Interesting.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Frisell. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover.
Oh my god, amazing. Okay, so it is Zov. Okay, I thought that was a long O sound. That's something I've kind of picked up regionally. Mazov. All right. And just on the subject of pronouncing things, I only have one R. Many languages in the world have multiple versions of an R. I can't do any of them. I only have my very American R. So it's going to be King Frisell. That's just how it is. I can't roll my R's. I can't do... There's a few other things. I can't even quite hear the difference on them, let alone reproduce it. So I just... It's a known weakness. My roommate's first language was Spanish. I mean, she's fully fluent in English as well. We have a lot of conversations about language, and she thinks whenever I repeat a word with especially a rolled R. There's like a couple of variations on the rolled R, and she's just like, it's okay, Lauren. You're doing your best. So it's Frisell. That's all you get. This is not, at least I'm not saying frizzle. I know it's not frizzle. Oh man. Why Frisell? Well, I seem to recall he was, because we had the statue that we looked at. You want me to call him Frizzle? That might be an insult to Miss Frizzle. I'm sorry. I do want to be better at saying things in other languages and names from other cultures. I do try. Okay, why Frisell?
Because Frisell was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see.
Okay. The voice actor is brilliant. But I do think that last line should have should have had more of an emphasis. It's satire, you see. Like, we need to have a moment to be like, they are so clever. It is satirical. Like, just, I don't know. Because they put it in the asterisks, I think it needed to have a little more of a beat around it. If I were doing voice direction, that's what I would do. Hopefully I'll be able to do voice direction again soon. Hopefully I will have an audio thing. But I have to finish writing it, and my brain has to be working for that first. Okay, so Freysel is the king that we saw the statue. I think. Is he related to... No, maybe he's not the guy with the statue. Maybe he's the one that Renee was connected to. Because there's the prince. Wasn't it a prince, actually, that Renee saved? All right, let's flip through the pages. See what catches your eye. In other words, roll the dice and see what you notice.
To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention.
Excuse me?
Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white.
Excuse me. How rude. I'll have you know, I like words on things. And no, this is not a criticism of the voice actor doing a bad job. I'm just saying, for me, it's just like aching for that to be delivered that way. It's fine. It does kind of have New Yorker vibes with the... I mean, I'm sure they're like political cartoons, you know? Column after column of closely set text. I'm imagining this.
After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents.
Isn't it the word rifling or riffling is fascinating to me, because it's actually spelled with 2 F's, but I thought it was spelled with 1 F because it's rifling, and then I've heard people say riffling because it's spelled with 2 F's, and I don't know if that's 100% incorrect or if that's a regionalism. No, it is actually supposed to be spelled with 2 F's. That is correct. I believe that is the original spelling. Because this is not an error, but that might also be a regionalism. There may be a difference between the British spellings and the American spellings, because they definitely have had. There was something recently that like one of the recent lines had an S where we would have put a Z because I'm American, or a Z since I live in Canada now. It's so hard. I can my last name has a Z in it, but I can spell my last name with a Z, but I feel a little self-conscious whenever I do it. Yes, and rifling with rifles is a different thing. Yes. Languages, man, I love them. I love language. We got really derailed talking about language while playing Thousand Year Door this week. It was really fun. People were looking things up on Merriam-Webster and explaining the etymology of things. Like, for example, because we had pirates and shipwrecks and things like that, and they were talking about a shanty, but not a sea shanty like a song, but like a shanty like a lean-to, like a hut. And I was like, why do we have the word shanty in English with these 2 different meanings? And it's from chanter, to sing, and I think it's pronounced chantier, which is another word that has something to do with the huts. So I thought that was neat. So I'm sharing that knowledge with you because yeah, Stolen Light. That's what I thought it was, and then I discovered the other version of it, which was the original version of it, and yeah, I don't know, it's just really interesting. It's really interesting stuff. Languages are interesting. And the alphabet song is definitely written by an American, and that's how you know. You can rifle through a book by shooting it. That is true. All right. We turn to the table of contents after looking for pretty pictures and not finding them.
The magazine is divided into several sections: international developments, Kuntz und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note.
I want to read all of it. Okay. Kunst und Kultur. I'm pretty sure that is a fact, because it's something and culture. Unless that's a false cognate, but I don't think that it is a false cognate because English is a Germanic language. But I don't know what Kunst means, but I guess I'll figure it out because I have the option to ask what is Kunst und Kultur. All right. Please forgive my butchery of German. I can try really hard and do better with German than French, even though I don't have fluency with it. And even remotely, like just not even remotely. I've done this much study, but because I speak a very consonant heavy version of English, that makes it easier for me to speak the more consonant heavy German than the more vowel dependent French. It's very hard. I have a really hard time. French vowels, I can't even hear. I can't even hear the differences, let alone recreate them. It's so hard. Kultur. Okay. All right. Let's read the editor's note. So some of this perhaps may be some of what Renee's frenemy. What's his name? The old man that isn't Renee. What's his name? Gaston. Yes. He does ghostwriting, so he may have ghostwritten some of this. We'll see. Oh, we did have a song about him. That's right. We're so inventive. You guys are such clever people. Well done. Yeah, but see, the hard sounds are easier than the soft sounds for me. That doesn't mean I'll get them right, but that means I can generally hear them better and therefore have a slightly higher chance of recreating them. Oh, if only I spoke 2 languages. My mom actually grew up speaking German as her first language, but we did not learn German growing up, so alas. Alas. All right, let's read the editor's note.
Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism.
It is smoke. I knew that word. 5 years of French, folks. No, I actually have been pleased that my really, really shoddy French vocabulary has served me. I mean, the game also generally lets me know if I need to know something, but I can pick it up on my own. Yes, my brain's encyclopedia is doing well. But the voice actor just said Mazov, but I'm pretty sure that it should be Mazov or Mazov. Okay, the way the rigid crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. Okay.
But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers.
Hot takes. Yeah, so this means going to the smoke. If I remember, I think. They just tell it like it is. That's all. Smoking hot. Oh my God, Ampy. Smoking hot take. Yes. Smoking takes. Yeah. All right. We're gonna do it. But I must say, it is true that you should always try to challenge yourself and be aware of chances for you to stagnate or get calcified. Isn't quite the right word, but it's the word that I keep going to. There is a better word for it. When things solidify to inflexibility. and become crystalline. No, subtle. There's a more specific word. I don't remember what it is. Ossify is a good one, Jessen. I don't know for sure if that's what I was looking for, but that is exactly like a solidification that I think that's a very good choice. Fossilize, maybe. There is a way that people talk about the rigidity of, like, for example, as you age, if you don't constantly work at the flexibility, your brain becomes less flexible, loses its flexibility, rigidifies, but I don't know what the word is that goes there. I don't know what it is, but there is a word that people say. If only I had access to my full brain. Alas, I do not. So.
Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership.
Oh no, atrophy is a completely different thing. Atrophy is when you start losing your ability to, like, when it kind of like kind of starts like dying or losing its ability to function. This is more like your thoughts become stuck and set in their ways, and you're not able to respond, for example, to new information and new experiences. I guess it's the demo version of my brain. Alas. Something my brain is locked behind a paywall. I don't like that. I don't want that. Let's stop that. I just need to keep taking my iron. Eventually I'll have enough oxygen in there that I can access the rest, maybe. It'll be wild. Maybe. 4 issues in, and they've already alienated their readership. Oh, well, I don't know. I guess it depends on if you interpret this as they are responding to having driven people away by being like, well, yeah, we know that we drove you away, but that's only because we were telling the truth. I didn't take this as kind of a defensive bit, but logic thinks that they're being defensive because they've run people off, and they're defending that and saying, well, it's fine. It's what we want to do anyway. Maybe.
So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
Kim, I think this is a communist magazine. I'm sorry. Just like, share, and subscribe. Hey! YouTube, if you're watching this, like, share, and subscribe. Oh, if you're watching this for the first time and you are lurking, welcome to Lauren Talks Too Slowly About Everything in Disco Elysium. Oh, man. Okay. Ring that bell, comrades. Oh, man. I've been told that I should actually say, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. And then people will actually do that. Thanks, Stolen Light. She said, well, since you insist, the editors. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Your subscriptions go towards me being able to afford my medical care that was expensive this month, and cat food. Actually, no, I need to replace Sophie's. She's got a pillar, and I broke it, so I need to get a new one because it wobbles. Anyway, thank you for supporting me. All right, do we play the idiot? Kim! Oh my god! Or do we play it cool? Pretend everything's in order. I think we're gonna play it cool. I think we're gonna pretend everything's in order. Like, we know this is gonna be a communist magazine. Like, obviously it is. And I have learned that if you pick the option that makes you sound like you're a dum-dum, Kim responds like you said something a dum-dum would say. So I'm not going to say that, I don't think. I want to play it cool. Be like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I got this.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
All right, I want to catch up on international developments. I do, actually. I'm really struggling to hold the world of this game in my mind. So let's see how this works. I cannot, in fact, spin it in my mind if I close my eyes. I can spin the apple. but I can't spin Revachol and its world, tragically.
This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine.
Semenine, is that the place that Measurehead claims his origin from? EPIS nations, like NATO? I wonder? Yes, a Seminese supremacist. There you go. Look at that! Another point to Lauren's memory, despite everything. I'm so proud of myself. I hope you don't mind my need to celebrate when my memory actually is there for me, but it's a struggle, so it's good. But also I appreciate you folks letting me ask, like, isn't that this thing? And then you can confirm or deny. Okay, so I don't think we've heard of the EPIS. I'm assuming that EPIS is something like NATO or the UN or something. But we'll find out.
You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border. Something about bear wrestling in Samara. Book riots in Yugograd. Mesk,
I think we decided, was Spanish speaking and might actually be Spain, according to the old woman with the imagination. If I remember correctly. I don't know if I have any associations with Messina. Samara, I've heard that name before. Is Samara Russia? I feel like I have some association with that name, actually, in this game. Book riots in Yugograd. I don't know. Oh, it's a place in real-life Russia. Okay, I think they must have had something, and I was like, oh, that sounds like Russian. Was that there was a song or something in the, I think it might have been also something that old lady talked about. And I was like, that sounds Russian. And you folks were like, yes, that is in fact in Russia. And I was like, oh, okay. So Spain, somewhere else, Russia, Yugograd hasn't shown up yet.
Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries are.
I'm trying so hard. Cut me some slack. You've seen it. I'm trying hard. I am putting forth effort. I am doing a pretty good job trying. I said so. Not that I'm biased or anything, but, you know.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Kunst und Kultur. So that... we'll see.
It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kuntz und Kultur must mean arts and culture.
Really? Oh. Okay, so either there's something that's not a direct literal translation, or this is a fascinating example of the fact that even though English is in fact a Germanic language, it has also stolen a great deal of its vocabulary from other languages. Where did art come from? Did we take that? It doesn't sound French. Where did we get it from? What's the etymology of the word art? Is it from Romance languages? Art is Latin, ars. Thank you. Okay, sweet. Don't you think that's beautiful and fascinating and interesting, though? Because, like, grammatically, English used to have more grammatical rules in common with German. So if you know, like, the historical grammar changes in English, then you are you have something to build on trying to study German. I know this because that is me. But and there is a lot of overlap. There's a lot of cognates that we can decipher between the two. I mean, like Kultur, even if you don't know anything about German, you can be like, does that mean and culture? I mean, I don't have to tell you, like, those words are related. Those languages are related. And then you have this completely other language language family come in and be like, excuse me, but do you want Latin? I love it. I love it. Oh, wait, is it Latin rooted, but it's shared between German and English? Okay, well, then did culture enter English from German directly, or did we both take it separately from Latin roots then? Yeah, well, one of the things that I have found most fascinating as I try to learn things about the English language is that there will be words that we have that sort of seem kind of similar, but not quite. And it'll be because at some point in history, this early version of French, we stole that word. And then like a while later, after French had evolved some more, we stole this other word that's similar, but it looks really different. You know, it's so fascinating. So it's not just that we take these loan words from other languages, but sometimes we take loan words from the same language in different points in its history. So it's like a crystallization, fossilization, if you will, of that region, or not region, that era of that language. I love it. I love the English language so much. Interesting. Knowing. Oh, okay. Interesting. And I wonder then if the word know, because know would have originally been pronounced cano in English. A number of our sounds became silent, but they weren't originally, especially if you go back and listen to like Middle English being read out loud. You will understand more written Middle English than you will understand spoken Middle English, because a lot of those sounds were pronounced that are no longer pronounced, and it will confuse you. But if you look on the page you just imagine them silent. I'm sorry, folks. I can't help it. I just really like this stuff. If you ever want to just like make me a happy Lauren, just like throw word trivia at me, and I can't resist it. Oh man, okay.
Why they decided to title this one section in Valda is beyond you.
I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, is that going to be Valder? It is. Amazing. Okay, what does that mean? What is that referencing? Yes, Knigget's. That's correct. That was how the word night was once upon a time pronounced. All right. Valder. What does that... Like, what is the clever reference there? Or is it a spoiler? To that being German. That's German. Presumably that's German. Because the language that they're discussing in the real world is German. So I assume that this is the in-game name for, or version of German. I don't know. Woods? Okay. I don't know. I'm curious what system they used to name the, there's a word for it, corresponding thing. There's a better word, but I don't have it, so that's what we've got. Okay. So they've decided that the Germany stand-in is defined by being wooded. Okay. All right. I will expand my German vocabulary.
It evokes a sense of recognition and fellowship among those privileged enough to understand.
Analog! Yes! That is exactly the word I wanted. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. There is a certain satisfaction to knowing that there is a perfect word and then being given what that perfect word is and having it slot in exactly to what you want. Like, that's just so satisfying, so deeply satisfying. I love it very much. So this is fun. It's an in reference, like it's an in group. This is an in group don't know exactly how to articulate it. It's not a lack of words, it's a lack of braining. But they are reinforcing the feeling of in-group.
As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS.
Oh, what is the Skullgirl's name? Cindy the Skull. Thank you. I wonder if that's her. I mean, I'd be surprised in a way, because she's just some kid who just wants to do graffiti. But in my head, in my heart, until they tell me otherwise, I'm going to assume that it's Cindy the Skull. Oh. All right. Radio plays. So we have radio plays, audio dramas. Support your local audio drama, audio fiction, all of that stuff. It's neat that it's resurfaced as a thing that people can do. It's a pretty cool medium. Okay, art and culture.
The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip-Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective.
I should know what that word means. I don't remember what that word means, if I ever knew it. So we're just going to not have French there. There's just a hole.
The Tip-Top Tournée is an inter-isolari racing series.
Oh,
mostly
tournament!
known for its high speeds, ludicrous sponsorship deals, and high death toll. In Revachol, it's held quadrennially on the prestigious Zero Carousel racing circuit.
Oh, geez. Okay, so it's if it's not a direct if it's not a translation of the word tournament, like the words are related. There is a connection between tournée and tournament. You can't tell me otherwise. I will not believe you unless you come to me with evidence. Quadrennially, I don't even know what that's like. Four times a year or every 4 years. I don't know which. I'm not good at that. It's like biannual, annual, something like that. Okay, so we have an international but regional racing tournament where people die a lot and there's a lot of money involved. Let's read the profile of CS.
This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer.
I think this is going to be Cindy. That sounds like Cindy.
That certainly sounds like a certain delinquent youth who likes to harass you from her balcony.
Does that count as me agreeing with authority? No. Authority is agreeing with me. I'm sorry. I'm so amused by this. Whew. All right. Let's see what these communists have to say about Tip-Top.
You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colourful drivers.
Of course you're not. This is going to be something tearing apart what like an evil capitalist activity it is and how destructive it is, blah, 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 blah. Ocelot, please.
Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip-Top Tournée.
Obviously. I wonder if it looks like there would have been another option if I had the right circumstances to trigger it, or a lucky dice roll, but I didn't. So, wait, what's wrong with Tip-Top? Oh, well, I can think of a few things, Ocelot.
Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships. And then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes.
I mean, to be fair, it is kind of a problem. It's like, don't get me started on American football. Unless you really want to get me started on American football. I loathe it with a fiery passion. Because I've seen the damage it can do culturally on the local level. I can see the damage it does to the children who are playing it when they are so young they shouldn't be lifting weights because their skeletons haven't finished forming yet. But they got to so that they can be better at football. The destruction that it wreaks on the school system, in high school, and in college, and just overall the destruction caused by the recurrent traumatic brain injuries, concussions, which are also part of why I think we then see a lot of really reprehensible things committed by American football players, because the part of their brain that might have said, don't do that awful thing, is literally broken. Yeah, the whole thing is a hot mess. Yes, Blue Glass. And this is my opinions on football are definitely rooted in having grown up in Texas. That definitely influenced it. Most people love it. I would snap my fingers and make it disappear if I could. So, anyway, it's bad, and idealizing and idolizing things that destroy the participants is really, really not great. And it's not a good thing culturally. I have some issues with boxing as well. Because you don't have, for one thing, if you hit that hard, you're going to damage your hand, so it's different. But also, without the added weight of the glove, you don't cause concussions in the same way, as frequently, as profoundly, as destructively. Just don't. It's a thing.
So, all of it, basically.
I mean, yeah. I'm with the communists on this one, I think. Let's see. Who wrote the stuff? What's so bad about sponsorships? What's wrong with a good motor crash? They just keep it interesting. Are you serious? Hang on. Who wrote this stuff? I'm curious to see if this is going to be a... I wonder if this wouldn't be one of the ghost-written ones. I don't think this is the kind of thing that Gaston said that he wrote, but the fact that this is a question I can ask, I am curious who it is.
Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines. Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka.
These sound like pen names. I don't know why, but they do. Something about this doesn't quite seem right.
There's no way those are real names.
Thank you, conceptualization. I'm glad to know we're on the same page. Ocelot is not on the same page, but elements of his brain are on the same page as me. Wait, why aren't they real names?
Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on. They're plainly pseudonyms.
Okay, that's very entertaining. I'm very entertained. There's no consequence of me and conceptualization being on the same page here, but there is a great deal of satisfaction. What's so bad about sponsorships?
Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity.
I have to admit, I find it really unsettling that you see ads literally everywhere. Like on transit, in the doctor's office, in bathrooms, like wherever you go, there's advertisements. Every possible opportunity, including things that I would never have thought could be opportunities for advertising. And we were talking earlier, somebody was asking about on Discord, somebody was talking about like a mail service, an email service that had like a way of ads getting delivered into your inbox, and I was like, man, I would just stop checking my email the same way I stopped checking my mail because it's nothing but junk mail, and I stopped answering my phone because it's nothing but spam calls. Yeah, no, and I say this as somebody who works in marketing, but my perception of my job, like my marketing philosophy, is that we have a thing and there's people who genuinely would be interested and excited about the thing, and my job as a marketer is to help figure out where those people are and let them know about the thing they want to know about, and then they're like, oh cool. It's like I used to work with this group of video game cover musicians, and whenever I talked to people about their albums and they would start getting really uncomfortable about the idea of like marketing it to people and that sort of thing, I would be like, and they'd be like, I don't know if I want it. I'm just like, okay, imagine you, a super fan of this game to such a degree that you made this album. You're a super fan of this game, and somebody's like, dude, there's like a 50-track album someone made of like fan covers of this game. Would you be excited? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, that's what we want. We want that. You would want to know about it. They're like, oh, okay. But that is not the general idea of what marketing and advertising should be. There's a lot of creating demand for things, convincing you that you should spend money on this stuff, and then, oh, that's not enough, where you need to convince you to spend money on more things over and over again. That's part of why I think it's really important to try to have a better opinion of your own, like, just try to improve your own body image, because part of why I think so many people wind up with negative body images is because there's people who want us to buy stuff. So they try to make us hate ourselves so that they can sell us things that will ostensibly make us hate ourselves less, but it doesn't work that way. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of advertising everywhere, even as a marketer. Like, in theory, getting the word out about your thing shouldn't be repulsive. Hi, Mrs. Chrono. Hello. Chrono says to say hi to you. I hope you're doing well. Everybody say hi to Chrono and Mrs. Chrono. They are lovely people. Well, but so this isn't about buying nice things for yourself. This is when people are like, something's wrong with your body. Something's wrong with your face. Something's wrong with the way you look. Something's wrong with the way that you act. You should hate yourself, but if you buy this stuff from us, maybe you would hate yourself less. It's really not great. It's really not great. And they study psychology. They are really, it's so insidious. It's really bad. I don't like it. So just set it on fire. But I'm in marketing. Yeah. I would rather it say the right things for the wrong reasons than the wrong things for the wrong reasons. So I will take that as the lesser evil. Oh, that's exciting, Chrono. Good for her. I hope that the singing went awesomely.
Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritter.
I mean, that's true. You can barely even, I feel like you can barely even see the numbers of the cars in racing things because they're so covered with advertising. And sometimes it's funny, even like people's trunks now, like boxers, fighters, they would have ads like on their clothing all over the place. It's really bad, right? But then you get to see them crash, which isn't cool, Ocelot. People dying isn't good. I'm not a fan.
And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest.
But I do have to say, when I was a kid, my mom took me and my sister to go see a hockey game because my mom was like, I'm Canadian, my children should watch hockey. And I'm just really not much of a sports person, and I will freely admit that. But it was interesting when the guys just started fighting. I was like, whoa, hockey's more interesting than like baseball because people start punching each other randomly. So I understand that people are like excited about the taboo of a dude on the ice punching another dude on the ice and them falling over, or somebody going up in flames in this racing thing. I don't know if they're being super cynical about human nature here, or just a little cynical about human nature, or taking a dig against racing and its inherent interest or lack thereof.
At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for.
No, I'm pretty sure I just like it for the racing. Or, wow, you're right, I really am just in it for the violence. That's really funny. Oh my god, I played Mario Kart with my roommate a week or two ago, and it turns out that I swear a lot and trash talk a lot. I haven't really played Mario Kart since the Super Nintendo. So that was a fun discovery. My roommate's like, yeah, I've noticed the past few times, like, because we've played it together like 2 or 3 times in the few years that we've been living together. And she's like, yeah, had you not realized, like, I've noticed every time we do, you're just constantly yelling at the computer. So she has said, by the way, she would play Mario Kart on stream with me. So if we want to do a special stream at some point, if you want to see me trash talk, I had to try not to swear. I never swore growing up. I think I said like 1 or 2 curse words in like the entirety of my life until I got to college and started playing Time Splitters with my friends, and that's why I swear. So I guess it taps into that part of my brain, playing Mario Kart. No, I'm pretty sure I like it for the racing, not the violence. You can't tell me what I get out of it, but I should probably at least sit and think, what does it say about me that at least when I was younger, I found, because I don't like watching people hit each other, but I found it interesting in hockey that they would fight. And I think part of that is because, A, I can understand, they're fighting, whereas like I have a really hard time with rules otherwise. And there was like a taboo, you're not supposed to actually hit people unless you're doing a sport that is the hitting people sport. You're not supposed to hit people. So there's some degree of like, that's involved. Yeah.
Sure, you think that, but subconsciously, it's the visions of brand names being engulfed in flames that you crave.
Is that so? I guess I've never thought about it that much. I wonder if I could have if I had different like political opinions, just like that, if I could start pushing back. But I can't, so I guess I've never thought about it that much.
That's because you haven't been reading critically. But don't worry. The whole point of these sorts of articles is to let someone else read critically for you.
Oh, zing! Oh my god, folks. That's so good. Okay, so thing is, I have expressed my concerns about people kind of outsourcing their critical thinking to, sometimes it's like political writers, sometimes it's video essayists on YouTube, not just about like politics, about things in general. So this is not just like a roasting of fellow communists. I think this is a thing that humans do. You want to be a person who thinks critically, and you want to be a person who reads between the lines and is smart and thoughtful and considerate and all of these things. But that's hard. So if you just find the right person who's smart enough and just listen to what they say, then you've got all of the good big thoughts, even if your brain doesn't give them to you. Yeah. It's interesting. Sorry, that's why this is a personal bugaboo for me that I find very frustrating, because there's a lot of really smart people out there. There's a lot of thoughtful people putting interesting content out there. And there's a lot of smart people who I think could probably benefit from approaching their criticism more critically. So, I'm going to put together a video series talking about video games and my literary opinions on them, but I am going to encourage people to think about it and decide what they think and feel. Whether they agree with me or not, that's fine. I am totally okay with you disagreeing with me about things. I just want you to think. I don't want people... And this is the thing, and the part of the reason why I'm so... I mean, like, obviously, like, I have a very strong feeling that we should always question things, second guess things, like, do reading and research into things as much as possible. Obviously, I'm not perfect about that, but I do try. It is one of my personal values to try to do that sort of thing. So there's definitely that. But I've also had people get really upset when I say something that they disagree with, like about a video game or music or something like that. And part of the reason why they get so upset about it is because they feel like it's invalidating their beliefs, because they have placed me in a position of like authority where I know more than they do, and therefore my opinions hold more weight than theirs. And I don't feel comfortable with that. I mean, I don't know that I'm enough of an expert for that on any subject whatsoever. But also just like, I don't know. I don't think that anyone should hold that kind of power. And I've also had people try to take my opinions away from me so strongly that, like, I will lash out and behave badly if someone starts doing that to me again. So the best I can do at this point is say, I can tell this is about to happen, so let us end this conversation before this happens. And I don't want to do that to people. Like, I don't want people... Like, if you listened to my hot takes at the beginning of the stream and you were like, my God, I disagree with every word that's coming out of her mouth. As long as you're thinking about it, as long as you're taking what I'm saying and holding it and spinning it and taking what you think and you feel and holding it and spinning it and coming to a conclusion... That's the most important thing to me. So, we're good. Anyway, so it's that tendency, and a lot of people do that. The only reason why I keep coming back to it, like with like YouTube and things like that, is because that's closest to my lived experience. That's the one that comes up in my life. But I think this has probably been going on for a very long time. Like, I'm sure that a lot of people did that with their political texts, with the like pamphlets being printed off by the big brainers, you know. I mean, it's a human thing, but we gotta watch it. Kim, this article says that no one really watched Tip-Top Tournée for the races.
Oh, come on. Can this article read your mind?
Thank you, Kim. So I can say it seems to think so, or no, I guess not. Because right now I would just pick one of these, like, spontaneously. I wonder if I say it seems to think so, we'll have like a longer conversation about thinking critically, which I would be totally down for. Or, no, I guess not. I don't know. I'm going to go with it seems to think so, because for me that seems like a more interesting answer to give, that could potentially lead to a more interesting conversation. Who knows?
A certain kind of young man reads 1 or 2 books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structures of reality.
Okay, let's see. We've got Catcher in the Rye. Or people with slightly different leanings. We could have that. This is where you sometimes wind up with people reading Ayn Rand. What else? There's a few others. You know what I'm talking about, though? There's a few books that people tend to read as teenagers and decide that they... Fight Club. Yeah, that's not a bad example. Yeah. No, there's some of this kind of stuff. Sometimes they will build their entire personalities on it. Sometimes they'll outgrow it, you know. But this is a thing. This is genuinely a thing that happens. And the writers of this game are taking a little dig. Probably at least one of them had an experience being like this when they were younger to some degree.
If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
I forgot that Kim is a car guy. A car guy. What is it? Do we call him like an engine head? Is there a term for that? I've heard that quote before, Stolen Light. Who is that again? Oh, yeah, I guess George Orwell to some degree. I don't know that I've seen people make George Orwell their personality in the same way that they do. John Rogers. I don't know if I know who John Rogers is. I've seen the quote. It's a memorable quote. It's a good one. Yeah, so Kim is not just mad about this being propaganda. He's mad about this being propaganda against cars. Fair, Kim, that's fair.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Let's see what they mean by local concerns. I'm very curious about this. Oh, Leverage! I've seen, I think, a few episodes of Leverage. Maybe more than a few episodes. Is that the one that's like the heist team? I had a roommate who was really into TV, so I watched some shows. Okay, yeah, I've actually seen a whole bunch of it, like over a season of it, I think. Really? Oh. Okay, I didn't know that Orwell was a socialist, but I also haven't read those in a very long time. My biggest issue with 1984, when I read it as a teenager, was that I felt that the degree of torture in it, the degree of effort that they go to torture one particular person seemed highly unrealistic, and I was like, they would just kill him. I also didn't have a lot of experience having read about historical examples of that sort of thing, but that was my takeaway. Interesting. Okay, so he's complicated. I haven't studied Orwell. I have read 1984 in high school. My mom read Animal Farm to me as a bedtime story when I was a kid for some reason. And I did not have any of the context necessary, so she would start trying to explain to me, well, this pig represents this form of government, and I was like, I don't know what those words mean. This guy talking else. The things, it's not like my mom didn't know that it's this is a word that I know. Damn it. It's a metaphor, but not just that it's a metaphor. Allegory. Thank you, Chrono. Allegory. Allegory is the word I wanted. This is my brain. Because I know allegory. I've written about allegories a lot. I'm a lit major. Yes. It's not that my mom didn't know it wasn't an allegory. Or didn't know it was an allegory. She, tried to explain all of the animals to me. But I didn't understand it. Because I was 11. Yeah, I should probably go back and read it, if only for the cultural literacy of having read it as an adult with some understanding of things. So extra stuff around 1984. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But again, like I said, I haven't read that since high school. I went through a dystopian period. My favorite was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Because I was like, this one makes sense because they have a place that they can send the dissidents to go write angsty poetry overlooking the sea. And so therefore, it seems like this one would actually be able to last because everyone in it is happy. And if they're not happy, there's a place to send them that isn't extended, exquisite, insane torture. It's just, we're just going to go send them to the angsty poet house where they can't influence anyone else, but they do their thing. And I also just found Brave New World very interesting. And it is interesting because I feel like Soma, that term, came from Brave New World, and yet we see it used a lot. And there are other concepts and things in it that have kind of entered the general lingo. I think it's really interesting. Oh, Gandhi, but there's some sort of degree of irony between what we're given in the text and what we come to understand the truth is. The text itself is unreliable. That's interesting. Like I said, I haven't read this since I was younger, so maybe I should reread it. Oh, good. I'm glad other people like Brave New World. Excellent. No, I really liked it. Because the reason why I read that is that so they made a TV movie, I think it was, of Harrison Bergeron, which I loved the movie when I was a young teen. And I lost my mind over it. And I was like, oh, sweet, Harrison Bergeron is a short story. And my dad was like, yeah, but this movie isn't really that. It's like partially based on the short story, but it is more Brave New World than it is Harrison Bergeron, which is, I think, correct. So he was like, here, go read some dystopia, small child of mine. And I was like, yay! Yeah, Harrison Bergeron is Vonnegut. All right, let's see what they mean by local concerns. Yes, we can actually get back to the game. But look, I'm going to talk about literature. I'm going to talk about language. This is my bias. This is where my points are. My points are largely in rhetoric. I do want to read more Vonnegut because, as I understand it, like there's the letter to the letter to children, or the letter to a young person. That's Vonnegut, right? You know the one, right? That's Vonnegut, isn't it? The "You've got to be kind, babies." Damn it, you've got to be kind. Okay, that alone makes me want to read more of him because. Sirens of Titan, okay. Because somebody who would say that, the way that he says it, I feel like that is a person whose mind I wouldn't mind spending a little more time in. Yeah, bitter edge and extreme humanism, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Harrison Bergeron is a fucking bitter story. I have some concerns about it, but I also kind of understand why it was written. It's an interesting story. I have conflicting feelings about Harrison Bergeron, the short story. But I loved the movie when I was a kid. I was like 13. But that's a kid. Sorry if there are any teenagers. If there are any teenagers, I am swearing too much. This game is not appropriate for you. It's past your bedtime. Go brush your teeth. It's okay, your brain isn't fully formed until your early 20s anyway, Kurano. Don't worry about it. It's not just you. Let's see what they mean by local concerns while we're at it.
Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike.
Of course.
You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First, we take Martinez. Then we take La Delta.
Hey, can we take a moment, by the way, to just be like, whoa, about, there's been some good strike news. UPS got its ass kicked by the union, recently. Apparently, they didn't manage to get anything, from the union. The union got, everything that they asked for, and it's really big. So that's a huge win. And then also what's going on with Hollywood, with the writers and the actors on strike together is just incredible. If there is one thing in the modern era that is giving me hope for the future, it's that. It's the rise of the labor movement as a viable power in the US. That's going to, if they can't find a way to beat it down, that's going to be the thing that saves us all. So, if any of you are in any way connected to any of the strikes that are going on, large or small, well done. Well done. And, I'm sure there are some unions that have shady people in them. You have people, you have politics, you're going to have corruption. To a certain degree, that's unavoidable. But they're way better than the alternative. And you can work on making a generally decent thing with flaws better. You don't eradicate the entirety of it. Yes, a shady union is better than no union. I've gotten into arguments about that with some of my Canadian friends who are concerned about their shady unions. And I'm like, let me tell you about growing up in Texas, working in Texas, which has fewer protections than a lot of states in the US. It's not great. Not great. La Delta. I don't know if I know where La Delta is. But I know that there is a Delta. So presumably it's the Delta that they mentioned. So yeah, I doubt there's any unions as shady as what they've told me that this union is. Usually unions aren't organized crime. Unless it's the police union. Does that count as a hot take? All right. Are we all on the same page here? I know. I'm joking. I'm joking, Chrono. Joking about the hotness of that take. Man, I've been reading the 1619 Project, which I think that every single white person in the US needs to read. And other people as well ought to read it, but that's the primary audience that needs to read it. And boy, does it have a lot of information about the police, the cops, where they came from, where they're going, what they do. It's a problem. You should read it. It's a hard book, but it's an important one. Yeah. Okay.
Finally, there's a brief article by the writer G. Martin accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent.
Oh man, this has been a really interesting one for me because I have been on the side of organization of a labor movement for employment for a while now. But the idea of tenancy and landlords as an optional societal setup that is inherently flawed, dangerous, and unfair, and the idea of a socialized alternative is a relatively newer thing to me. And something that I'm still kind of wrapping my head around, because I'm not a fan of landlords who hold a lot of the power. It is interesting, actually, Ontario, the province of Ontario, has protections for tenants, which is fascinating for me because I've never in my life encountered that. So you've got all these landlords trying to screw people over right and left, breaking the law, intimidating people, making false claims, doing all of this, like, unbelievably shady shit. I can swear. It's Disco Elysium. And people will say, go talk to the landlord-tenant board. You can do that? You can. It's an option. There's protections for workers here. There's protections for tenants. Like, there's not as much as there should be ideally, but it exists, and it's incredible. Like, there are possibilities to protect you. So I'm part of a number of Toronto Facebook groups, and they're always talking about the LTB. So now I know about the LTB. I wouldn't have known otherwise. Because we at one point when we were looking for an apartment, there were people who were trying to do something shady, and I knew that was shady, and I knew that was breaking the laws, that it was illegal, because I'd been reading all these people talking about these protections. It's really interesting. But so like, I get that. But so then it's kind of like, well, what do you do from there? What is the alternative? And that's the thing that I'm still learning about. What are the alternatives that people are proposing? Is it, like, how do we prevent people from stocking up on all of the housing in an area and making it unavailable or unaffordable, like all of this stuff? Like, there are smart people putting together those plans and offering up alternatives and trying to put plans into action and stuff. But it's something I have a little less knowledge of than I'd like, so I'm working on educating myself. Anyway, that is relevant because that's actually what we're about to talk about in game. Look at this. My rambling is on topic for once. Don't get used to it. Oh man, acquiesce yourself. Hello, thank you. No, it's okay. You're not interrupting. Welcome. We've had a few folks, actually. There were some other folks who dropped by who, if you're still here, welcome. The folks who've been watching on YouTube who are dropping by for the first time live, like, pull up a chair and join us. We have been talking about all sorts of things and making very little progress. It's great. Get communally owned housing. That's something that I think somebody was talking about on Discord, because we have so you too can join the Flutie Pies Discord community. It's where we have a special spoiler channel where folks can talk about the game without me seeing it, if you want to do that. But also it's interesting because we have people from around the world sharing their experiences. It's a great way for me to educate myself on different ways that countries are literally solving these problems as we speak, whether it works or not. It's fascinating. I really do think that if we could get people talking across the world, and see kind of what is available and what exists and what works and what doesn't, I think that it could make a lot of good. Like, a lot of Americans didn't realize how bad our healthcare system was until we started realizing what other countries have access to. And people who think that they want to have their country's healthcare system be more like the U.S. healthcare system, once they learn what the U.S. healthcare system is actually like, tend to have second thoughts to some degree. Oh, watching on Twitch. Oh, okay. Well, awesome. Well, welcome and enjoy. We're talking about things. Yeah, housing as investment. The U.S. has a problem with that. Canada has a big problem with that as well. It's really bad. We have a housing crisis going on in Toronto, which has a huge percentage of the national population in the city. And even in the 3-4-ish years that I've been living here, like the rent increases, like it's insane how much more expensive things are. The whole system is fucked, and something's going to have to be done about it. So let us see what our options are. I'm going to read what Ocelot's options are here, and then I'm going to make a decision. Okay, so one is, damn communists should have killed a lot of them when they had the chance. We're not going to pick that. 2, if it weren't for the wild pines, all those moochers would be out of a job. Like, no thanks. I don't think I'm going to go with that one. Okay. 3, charging rent just to live somewhere is pretty outrageous. Or, wouldn't it be better for everyone if labor and capital could reach some reasonable accommodation? Or, why should I care? This doesn't have anything to do with me. Alright, so there are only 2 options here that I'm considering, obviously. If it's not clear from the way that I responded to each of them, either abolish the rent altogether, or 4, I think 4 is the answer. If I'm pretty sure that if I were missing a morale point, choosing 4 would have given it back to me. That sounds like the incremental choice. But that doesn't really have anything to do with landlordiness. That's just a statement about communism in general and the inherent conflict between labor and capital. Which, because I don't generally exist in communist spaces actively, I have a lot of people around me who I think ascribe to a more communist philosophy. But it is not a language that I am fluent in. So I have to remind myself, when they say labor, they mean the people. When they say capital, they mean the people with the money. Because I don't read those words fluently in this context, which is really interesting. And I think that's something that people who are wrapped up really closely in these philosophies forget, that it is a highly specialized language usage, and it won't be fluent. It won't be something that it automatically makes sense to people who aren't fluent in it. You have to spend a certain degree of time with it to achieve fluency. So you know what? Or, hear me out. I hate the fact that I have to gather up the money to have a place to stay so that I don't get Sierra adventure gamed out of playing the rest of the game after today. Screw rent. This is bullshit. I shouldn't have to pay to stay in the place I'm going to stay. How's that for rationale? Oh my god, are we gonna get into the musical Rent? It is actually really funny. I've heard a lot of people complain about the characters in it. Oh man, people sure do have capital O opinions about the musical Rent. It has some damn good music though. Whether you like the musical or not, you have to admit some of those songs are earworms. All right, let's choose that. Oh man, I was in middle school when it came out, and it was ridiculously popular with some of my friends. So, and I've known enough musical theater people to just like have a familiarity with it. In fact, when I was in college, and I was in this musical theater voice class actually, where everyone else had years and years and years and years of experience, and I did not. So that was fun. But we did a scene from La Boheme, and then we did a medley of songs from Rent. It was great fun. Outsource your critical thinking about Rent to Lindsay. But like that is like, it's tongue-in-cheek, you're laughing. But there is something to be said for the fact that like it is tempting and easy to do that. And I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't want you to do that. Oh god, I read her debut novel. Oh, I love you, Lindsay Ellis, but that book needed some work. Supposedly the sequel's better, so I'm gonna give it a chance. Oh man. Okay. Charging rent just to live somewhere is pretty outrageous. We're gonna go with that. That's the opinion that Ocelot is holding right now.
The writer G. Martin remarks dryly that capitalists love wealth redistribution, so long as it's only redistributed upward.
I mean, it's true. Where's the lie? Just saying. I think I'm anti-capitalist with democratic socialist political beliefs. I don't ascribe to the structure of communism because it doesn't quite stick with me, but I am certainly not a fan of capitalism, much to my father's dismay. I have mentioned before, my father is a libertarian economist, right? We don't talk about politics because that's not going to go anywhere good. I promise. I've tried. Whew. Anyway. So this is Gaston. This is his ghostwriting right here. I mean, ghostwriting. He won't put his full name on it, but this is Gaston.
It's true. The rentiers have been bleeding you dry. You really ought to find your own place one of these days.
Isn't that the dream? But I am literally never going to be able to afford to buy a home. So it goes. So it goes. I think my father's disappointed in me that I live with a roommate. And I'm like, Dad, most people my age live with roommates, or they have a partner that is a second income. That's just how it rolls. I think my ideal situation would be to have like a big like housing area that had like multiple people living in it, but also your own space. The Canadian housing bubble could burst. We did just vote somebody new into Toronto who is going to try to do something. She says she's going to try to do something about the rent problem. We'll see. Oh, man. Yeah, living in a McMansion with 6 other families would be really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of issues with cohabiting with people. Like, there are challenges. There are big challenges. But it would be... I find that sort of thing appealing in general. Like, I would love to be like, this is like my house. Like, this is like my like housing unit. This is like my room and my bathroom. I could share a bathroom with one other person. That's fine. I do that. And have like a few other like little distinct areas, and then like a kitchen or 2 kitchens or something like that would be really neat. And then like you can like take turns cooking. Like, I actually looked into cooperative housing several points in my life, because I find that sort of thing really appealing in theory, but it's really challenging in execution. So, and I never got on any of the lists anyway because they are long.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
I feel like I have done something wrong here. I feel like I have missed. I haven't gotten any experience points for looking at the magazine. So maybe I'll try again later. There is something neat kind of about living in a building with other people. Like, I organized a potluck for my building somehow a couple months ago, despite my health issues. And I've been meaning to organize more because everyone else wants to do stuff, but nobody actually gets things done. I'm told that that's really common in Toronto. Like, you have to have, like, if you are the person who pushes to, like, make plans, like, that makes you, like, a rare commodity. So I guess I'll do that again. But I do like having, I do like living in community. I do like neighborhoods. I like people. I am definitely an extroverted people person. I know this is shocking, but okay, we put that away. Have I interacted with this already? I don't remember if I have, but I don't know if I will today. Okay, well, that's exciting. I can dig into other things. God, I hope that nobody comes in here.
On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
You can see it compared to the others. It's a slightly different color.
It's unfortunate for the union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
Oh my God, Kim, we're gonna be morally questionable cops. Look at how weird looking the coffee maker thing is. It's kind of like got like a swan neck.
Let's see what's inside, he thinks.
Hold on. I'm gonna save. Because if they come wandering in, we're gonna be in trouble. I might have to load that save. Don't want to go in there and mess with their drugs, because that's probably what's going to be in the bathroom. And then there's like a phone. I'm not going to use the phone. We are in Sierra mode. No, that is true. I'm worried about dying. Thanks.
There it still is, inviting you to.
Open the drawer. Let's do it, folks!
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders.
All right, let's browse through the folders.
Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara.
Okay, I don't know that I have associations with any of those places yet. Muindi sounds familiar.
And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol, Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold.
Okay, I'm not making this connection here. The game's going to have to hold my hand. We'll see how this goes. Anything interesting? Browse them.
It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry.
You know what? I am well rested and I don't have morale issues. My volition is doing okay. Do I have anything that makes my volition go higher? You know what? We're going to give it a try. 83% seems pretty high. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get it, but force yourself to go through the folders. Let's see.
Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer.
Interesting. Let's look at the note.
It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters.
Huh. Bad handwriting.
Remember, Leo, Evrart's shoes. Special whirling borscht. Water Evrart's plants. Sweep office floor. More banners.
Leo. I've heard the name Leo before. I swear I've heard the name Leo before. I feel like I've heard the name Leo before. Somebody with bad handwriting, reminding themselves to do basic things, taking care of Evrart. So there's apparently good borscht at Whirling. Let's see. So somebody who takes care of his shoes, brings him his favorite dinner, takes care of his plants, cleans up the office, makes banners. Who is Leo? Who is Leo?
All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Huh. I'm going to point it out to Kim. Look, Kim, a to-do note with a list of errands for Evrart. I don't know that this is going to be useful yet, but there might be something significant about it.
Evrart Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
But it could still be useful.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Let's take another look at the note.
Remember, Leo, Evrart's shoes. Special whirling borscht. Water Evrart's plants. Sweep office floor. More banners.
Can one of you keep this on hand somewhere, or should I type it out? Or screenshot it? I guess we can always just pull it up as a reference if I want it. I'm sure that it's not that hard to have access to it. Thank you, Chrono. Okay, sweet. This is normally what I would write it down, because you never know.
All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
I'm pretty sure that I failed a check to get something else out of this, but at least I have this information that I will file away, and if the opportunity arises to do something with this information, I will do it then. Let's close the drawer.
The drawer slides shut smoothly.
Okay, well, that happened. Let's take a look at this. The door is locked and cannot be opened from the side without a pass card. Guess you have no choice but to talk to the union leader. Okay. All right. I'm scared to go look and snoop in here. What have I got equipped? There is a guy making banners outside, yes. I don't actually know if this is going to make a difference. However, I'm going to take my pants off so that I'm less tempted. Less likely to be tempted by the drugs. I don't think this is actually how it works, but we're going to do it. Kim is just like, oh my god. Alright. Okay, magnesium, that's fine. Oh, neat office shades. Visual calculus improves, drama goes down. Okay. Thanks, Chrono. Alright, let's put my pants back on. Alright. Neat office shades. These were stuffed away in the dock workers union office. They're perfect for scribbling down paperwork when the sun tries to get in your eyes. Good for staring down suspects, too. Okay. I have these glasses on right now that drop my authority and raise my logic, which I like. This will drop my drama, And raise my visual calculus, which might be useful in some cases. Okay, well, I'll put my pants back on. Save again. I'm sorry, but I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm not supposed to be here right now.
An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side says, "Tokens unavailable due to strike. Use change."
Interesting. Okay, well that's good to know. Now I know. Okay. Well, I bet that there is a way to get more out of that note, but I didn't get it, so... Oh, what? This thing is so broken. Okay, well that's fine. There's not like bottles here. They're way too tidy for that. So this is his office. I kind of want to... Oops, wrong button. Sorry, Kim. Just gonna see if I... Okay, I cannot raid their trash. Cannot raid their trash can. Yeah, you have to pay for the phone. Okay, watch me get in trouble. Watch somebody be like, "What were you doing in there?" Oh, good. No. Wait, but I want to get onto the roof. How do I get onto the roof? Okay. That's right, I cleaned up. I'm sorry, I'm just saving all over the place, but... What's in here?
This is the Nightwatchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud.
Okay.
You need to rest. Your body is aching. Getting in here has taken something out of you. Have a seat.
That doesn't sound good. I mean, to be fair, I did vault myself over something. Like, I have had a very physically exhausting time. I want to start to look around. Maybe I'm going to die if I do this. Let's see what happens.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Okay.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table.
I'm going to look at the picture. Can I put it back?
It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young and very pretty. She is smiling playfully at the camera.
Interesting.
René looks like he's about to smile. This photo must be tied to some good memories.
Why did you take that picture of René?
Oh my god! So I can either say I'm going to ask him about it, I'm a cop, it's instinctual to collect evidence, or I'm making an artistic photo collage, Kim. It's a good question. I was going to put it back, actually. I personally wanted to know. I wanted to see what it was of. If it gave you the option to look at it. Because Kim is going to be like, this is not evidence. Put it back. And I'll put it back. So I'm a cop. It's instinctual to collect evidence.
Fine. But let's move. I don't want to be seen snooping around here.
Okay. This is probably a bad idea. I probably shouldn't have taken that. You can sell it? No. I actually really don't like that. Do you folks mind actually if I load my save and don't do that? I thought that there might be an option to put it back. I don't think there's a benefit to having it. I know that that's a really dumb thing to choose to load from. But I'm gonna do it. don't think there was anything else that I did. Yeah, that's the old soldier, Renee. That's why he's in his uniform. So his Nightwatchman area is literally next to where I had my drinking binge thing. I don't think he acted like he knew me though, did he? I mean, I imagine that the game wants you to commit to what you've done, so we're just not going to take that. However, this does make me think about, like, I can just walk into places. I want to see what that, I think that's money. I don't know if there's a way to get it, though. I don't think there is. I don't think this is accessible. I could drop things on Measurehead's head. If I were really doing like, let's like see what happens, let's load and play and all that stuff, I absolutely would just see what happens if I mess around with that stuff. However, that is not the kind of player I am, so we are not. Well, I'm glad we went back. Aren't you glad we went back? I mean, sure, we took forever and technically made no progress whatsoever, but, you know, what do you want from me? Is there anything hidden down here? No. Okay. I can respect a game like this wanting you to commit to your decisions if you're making decisions. Like, that's kind of how it rolls. We read some fascinating political literature. We got new gloves, new glasses. Oh. What is with this? Oh. Okay. Hey, I've got 10 real. Excellent. Did I try talking to this fellow? Oops. Sorry. I'm gonna do this. I have too many saves. What happens if I talk to you?
Container, container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container, container, put the logos on.
Oh, this is Leo. We literally just read Leo's note. Okay, sweet. Maybe we can ask him about the borscht. Because we're in the Whirling in Rags. Who knows? Alright. So he's making banners. That was his last task. I appreciate that he sings silly songs.
The lyrics to this container song are being made up as he goes along.
You don't say conceptualization.
The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisunt on Muindi.
Oh! Okay, yeah, because his accent sounds, I think, a little Irish to me. But I'm not sure. I'm curious about this right here. That's an interesting phrasing. That looks like, I don't know. Because usually that's what happens if you're quoting somebody and you're recognizing that it's your mistake. Or rather, if you're saying like this is a mistake, but leave it. Like that's what they said. That's how they phrased it. Even if it is a mistake, we know it's a mistake. So that's interesting. No. I figure there's something that I'll figure out or I won't figure it out. Thank you, though.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Evrart.
The tiny man is so engaged in his work, he doesn't notice you. It's interesting that it's not that it belongs to the Union, it belongs to Evrart. This guy is definitely dedicated to Evrart, and he views all of this as Evrart. I'm going to interrupt him. He seems like he's a friendly guy. This might be a mistake. What are you doing up here? I don't know, just wandering. It might be better that I not be seen. But he is a simple fella. So we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna... Because I can either not interrupt the little man in his joyous activity, or I can say, hi! Which feels appropriate. He's friendly. Let's see. He might be, like, happy as long as I'm happy and we have, like, a friendly chat. Or he might immediately be like, I don't want to talk to people. Let's find out.
Evrart, Evrart, Evrart. He looks after everyone. Huh? Well, hey there. How can I help you, mister?
He smiles.
The look in his deep blue eyes is as sincere as you've ever seen. Kind of makes you feel like an arsehole for no apparent reason.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely doing things I'm not supposed to do, and this man is sweet and trusting and friendly.
I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you?
A shadow passes over his kind face. So I can either say, what is it with you people and scabs? Or, actually, I am, yes. No. I'm not going to claim to be a scab, obviously. So I'm going to say, what is it with you people and scabs? Because I guess Ocelot does not have opinions about scabbery.
I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat.
He doesn't seem to be waiting for you to answer.
Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister.
I've got so many questions. I can say so many things. This is amazing. All right, let's see how much progress are we going to make tonight. So I can ask him questions about all sorts of things. I think I'll probably be able to ask him about everything. He seems good-natured enough. I don't know if there's any reason why asking about his origin would be loaded questions, so I will ask this first question and see how this goes. You're Ubi, right?
Oh, yes. Born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. Too old to lose my accent then.
Okay, so the new world, that's the first time I've heard that. So there's the new world, and then there's the new world. That's interesting. I wonder what the new world was in the context of this universe as opposed to our universe, where it was usually used to refer to the US or the North American continent. That is a common story. Dad was bad and we had to flee. And how can we get away? And where is there a chance that Mom might actually be able to take care of the kids? We'll go to the new place.
People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No, sir. Those are just nasty rumors.
Oh. Oh, Cashew, that's okay. That's all right. We talked a lot about things. We haven't made a lot of progress. You might notice we are right where we started. We did actually wander off and go look at things and do other things and stuff. But then we came right back where we started. All right.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Kim's like, why did you say that? That's uncomfortable. All right. What are you doing with the containers? We're just going to ask him all these questions. I don't think he's got any problems with that.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
He waves at the containers towering behind him. Oh. Logic. Do I have anything that makes my logic higher? This is I want to get this one. This is red, so that means you can't retry it. If I remember correctly, red is cannot be retried. White is can be retried. No, I haven't talked to Evrart yet. No, okay, yes, that is actually a question, just to confirm. Yeah, red. Oh, wait, just it says right there, red cannot be retried. White can be retried. I've had a lot of conversations with myself, and I did talk to Kim. My glasses. Okay, let's see. Hold on. No, it's all good. It's all good, Chrono. I think I want to hold off on this And I'll do
Sure,
that.
mister. About what? Bye-bye now.
Yeah, we're gonna do this because we can. Wait, no, that's visual calculus. No, my glasses that I have right now raise logic. So that's actually what I want. Do I have anything else that does anything with logic? I don't think so. I mean, I doubt that my junky clothes. Yeah, I got nothing else. Okay, well, we might as well.
Oh, hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And lots of folk really did keep coming back.
Oh my god, I love that he does the voice for her. That's really cute. Oh my god. I really like him. He's adorable. I had some questions for you if that's not too much trouble.
No trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. It's like that old saying goes, wisdom withers if not shared. And old Leo is always up for sharing.
Okay, well, I know I've got a red check here. I'm going to kind of see what else is going on with some of my other conversation options here. Where is everyone? The harbor is empty.
Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in.
He leans in with a confidential look. Oh, this is good. Excellent. A+.
We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Evrart is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate.
Jean-Luc?
But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Evrart sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so.
He stops, but seems eager to tell you more. I need to get all of the gossip, okay? Gossip, gossip, gossip. Okay, so I don't know if I know Titus and his boys. They got in drunken trouble. Went on a nice vacation, I'm sure. I mean, maybe they killed the guy. That could be drunken trouble right there. Probably not. But Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. I don't remember if that's Measurehead. All right, what kind of trouble did this Titus and his friends get into?
Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business.
He smiles and leans closer.
Him and his boy stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Evrart telling them to take some time off.
Okay, look. I'm just saying. I am investigating a crime. And this is very interesting. I will try to make a note. I might forget it, but Kim won't. Kim won't forget it, even if Lauren and Ocelot both forget.
Don't go all bad cop on this simple, friendly fellow.
I'm not gonna. Thank you, suggestion. So if I say, really, do they kill someone? I don't think that's bad. But what do they actually do? I don't have a bad cop option, fortunately. Because, like, this, really, did they kill someone? It's sort of, like, over-the-top ridiculous thing to ask that, like, could sound like I'm joking. He's like, oh, God, of course not. But I don't know for sure. And this is a man who can't keep secrets, so I don't know that I want him telling Evrart that I asked if they killed somebody. I have to think about this. I don't know. I don't want to go bad cop on him. Neither of these feels like a bad cop option. like this, yeah. Neither of these feels like a bad cop thing, so I might go with the top one because that feels more innocuous, you know? Let's try that. But what did they actually do?
I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. Well, that's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
All right, Leo. We got experience for asking that. Got too rowdy, let out some steam. He doesn't know.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the Hardies.
He looks to you for assistance. On the Hardies? I don't know what that means.
Look at him. It's not going to be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I have the option to push about the killing. I'm not going to do that. Too rowdy. Leo, what kind of a fight did they get into? Did they kill a mercenary? Like, no. Okay, Leo, let's hear about this fight you got into. I'm going to get him. He'll let something slip if we become friends, Kim. Just sit back and let me do this. Just trust me, Kim. I know you don't care. But if this guy knows anything, he's more likely to spill it if he likes us and trusts us or if he accidentally rambles. We can't ask him serious questions. I don't think that's going to work here. So, okay, Leo, let's hear about this fight you got into.
I remember I was the runt of the class. The bigger boys always used to pick on me. You see, I had a bit of a temper back in the day. Flew off the handle like nobody's business.
That's really interesting. Because that would be after he'd moved here. So presumably things were really rough. But it's interesting to picture him with anger issues becoming who he is now. You know? I mean, there's always like the risk of, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and obviously the dad was a problem. But you do kind of wonder what happened with Leo to make him go from being understandably angry. His whole life got uprooted. He moved to a new place where people have really kind of nasty things to say about his, like, people from where he's from. So he's probably, you know, he's getting picked on. He's getting treated badly. He's getting called names. People are making nasty comments about his people. He's got issues with his dad, all of that stuff. So it's understandable for a kid in his situation to have a temper. But I'm really curious what happens to grow out of that.
But Mr. Evrart and his brother always came to help. Once they beat old Noel Becker so bad he needed stitches on his head. Noel never started another fight with anyone after this.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, no wonder this man is so devoted to them. They rescued him from bullies when he was a kid. He's been devoted to them for, like, his entire adult life and, like, half of his adolescence. Like, that is loyalty. Like, that is true loyalty and devotion. So this is definitely a man who is, like, he is Evrart's man through and through. It is interesting, though, like, because Evrart and his brother are not painted in the most sympathetic light from what we've seen so far. They're organized crime. You know, they're the mob. They've done terrible things. So it's interesting to have this insight where, like, beating a bully so bad he needs stitches on his head and can't fight with anyone else ever again is, like, not a good solution to the problem. So you kind of wonder, which aspect of this do you focus more on? The fact that Evrart always helped the kid who's being bullied? The fact that he beat the shit out of some other kid really badly? Which of these is the more defining element of that experience in his life, you know? And obviously it's both. I mean, if we really want, we can say, oh, well, I'm sure that he was aware that this kid would be his lackey, and so he beat up the people who messed with his lackey, and maybe he beat up Leo as well. there may be more of that to it. I don't know. But based on what we're given here, like, it's interesting to be like, oh, you rescued this guy from bullies. I assume that Evrart and his brother were kids at the time.
Mr. Evrart and Mr. Edgar are real nice guys, mister. You should go talk to Mr. Evrart. I'm sure you'll be good friends. He's friends with everyone around here.
He starts coughing. Okay. Well, that's interesting, because this will, of course, shape my expectations of Evrart going in. I know he's capable of violence to protect people, and it may be that that's his philosophy, that he has to be violent to protect people, and also that includes getting him and his brother what they want. Maybe he genuinely thinks that if he is the authoritarian leader of this area, that he can keep everybody safe, that that's the one way to protect people, you know. If he can just rule with an iron fist, he can make sure nothing bad happens, and he can have the power to stop bad guys. It's just that he also kind of is a bad guy, so. There's no reason for me to believe that Evrart and Edgar are not the same age as Leo, roughly, or at least, like, all kids together. Like, everything about that feels like two bigger kids rescued the little kid from the bullies, so.
You're never getting anything useful out of him. It's good enough you found out Evrart has a brother called Edgar, and he helped Leo.
Yeah, no, that is actually interesting and useful. Like, I'm as interested in getting character information on Evrart. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I think that that will wind up being useful. So, I mean, at the very least, I, as a player, really enjoy digging into characterization, but also as an investigator, that may wind up being useful at some point. Who knows? All right. So, do you work here?
Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me Leo.
The little man raises his hand in a welcoming gesture.
I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town, and Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Evrart is away.
Yeah, he just helps both of the brothers out.
Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Man, every time he has to laugh or chuckle, it does not sound appropriate. Like, it doesn't fit. Because he doesn't, like, laugh the kind of laugh that you would laugh if you were saying that. He just has, like, a laugh, and he just insert laugh here. A little bit awkward. Not the best acting in the game, but it's fine. Miss Beaufort. Okay. I'm trying to remember if that name is familiar. Nothing comes to mind offhand, but... So she's more of the brains. Leo is he's the sidekick. Not even the sidekick. He's their valet. That's what he is.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
The lieutenant looks up at Leo.
A real pretty lady with a skin like those douce sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down beside the radio.
Leo, what kind of a description is that? But now we know Leo has a wife, and they are adorable together, presumably. Okay. So there's some super pretty lady. Oh, I wonder if that's the gardener.
But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here, and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
If that's a chocolate bar, that'd be interesting. I could see her. We know enough from the interaction with her that I noped out of to know that she's actually... Like, she was conniving yesterday. She definitely put forth something. Like, she was pretending to be something she wasn't and keeping an eye on me and all that stuff. Like, I would absolutely believe at this point that she is important enough to be high-ranking, and that's why she's doing what she's doing. So, until further notice, maybe we'll go with her. Because I don't have a lot of characters to go off of yet, so I'll just randomly slot random people in as I get them until I can line them up right. Okay, so he's got lots of stuff going on.
Stay on this Miss Beaufort topic.
So they can say, who's this Miss Beaufort you mentioned? Or, I think you're doing a great job around here, Leo. Or, yeah, I'm pretty sure this place would totally fall apart if you didn't shine the boss man's shoes, Leo. That's rude. I'm not going to do that. All right, Volition, let's ask. Who's Miss Beaufort?
Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Evrart put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all fancy and lawyerly.
Wow. Okay, that really says something. Like when he says that Evrart put her through school, Evrart was like, I need somebody with a law degree. So he pays for and sends somebody off for 4 years, and they come back to be part of the union and help him out. Like that's not normal, like, union type stuff, I don't think. Like, there's a certain, like, you are committed to this thing that we're doing that is like, that's family, or politics, you know? So organized crime makes sense. So she's going to be extraordinarily loyal to him too, because you don't give 4 years of your life to something like that if you're not incredibly loyal. So yeah, politics and crime. And they're doing crimey politically stuff, so that makes sense. But that is something I'm actually really glad to have talked to Leo, because this gives me a sense of how devoted Evrart's people are going to be to him, and it helps me kind of frame the way that the union runs and the relationships between its people and the role that Evrart and Edgar play in people's lives. And I think that may be useful in making sure that I'm properly calibrated to talk to Evrart, because I wasn't calibrated from a gameplay perspective to talk to Joyce. But in this case, I suspect Everart's going to be another boss fight, and I want to get the information I need going in. So, all right.
He respects that word. That's obvious.
Yeah, having a lawyer, and that's good to know. That's like very much like, do not underestimate this person, because she's going to be sharp as a whip. She's going to know law. She's going to like walk circles around me. So I will have to be very careful and not break laws that she knows about. So.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood. Knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure.
So she's younger than them. Came from nothing. Evrart gave her a future, etc., etc.
For a fraction of a second, there's sadness in his eyes.
Oh. Factorial time complexity. Thank you for subscribing, friend. I appreciate your support. Thank you. All right, let's see. Sadness in his eyes. I'm very curious about what this could be.
If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have kids.
That's interesting. Okay. So she's enough younger than them that she reads as a kid to them. So she's going to be relatively fresh out of lawyer school. And these people are really devoted to each other. Like, really devoted to each other. That's good to know. Like, this isn't just, like, coworkers. This isn't just, like, convenience. There's, like, some, like, ride or die affection here.
Dr. Lemaitre said so. And she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years, she has.
He sighs and falls silent, watching you meekly with his blue eyes. Okay. So because of the way this has been phrased, because like normally if a character said, yeah, my wife can't have kids, unfortunately, I would just take it at face value. However, there's a long history of people in higher ranked positions or of like more powerful backgrounds kind of engaging in what's the word I'm looking for? Begins with an E. Determining who can and can't have kids, keeping the undesirables from reproducing. Eugenics. Thank you. That is in fact the word I was looking for. Thank you. By the way, it is very nice to be able to put out and be like, can you hand me the word I want? And then you folks like hand it over. Thank you. Yeah, there is a long history of ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill, not exceptionally evil, like doctors, engaging in eugenic practices, preventing undesirables from reproducing, whether that is giving people, like basically sterilizing women while they're having other surgeries without getting their permission, and things like that. And because I know that Leo is of an origin that has a lot of hateful assumptions against him, and especially if Leo himself is a simple person, I can absolutely see how somebody who is essentially like a cultural supremacist of some sort might say Leo and his wife shouldn't reproduce. We don't need more of their kind in the world. Just think of what that kid would be like. And just something about the way this is phrased, where he's putting his faith in the doctor and she said so, and she knows what she's doing and she's old. Something about this doesn't feel right. Like my spider sense is tingling. Now, I don't know anything about this doctor. It may very well be that there's so many reasons why people can be unable to have children. But she could very easily, very legitimately have reasons why she probably can't have kids. Like there's no reason to suspect foul play, but I have a hunch and I am distrustful and concerned for him because he seems like such a nice guy. So, yeah. And if you don't know about that being a thing that happened not that long ago in the US, I can't speak to other countries, but it continued, I think, at least into like the 40s and 50s, maybe into the 60s. Oh, Oregon has a bad history, a really, really bad history, racially speaking. Their eugenics board closed in the 80s. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I knew that it was much more recent than people think. Like, you're like, oh, well, surely they wouldn't have done that after like the 10s or the 20s. Like, no, it was after that. It was much after that. It's really terrible. Yes, and it continues not just as a matter of like, not it's not just like racially based, but it's also ableist, where they will say this person has some sort of disability and therefore we need to prevent them from reproducing. Yeah, Stolen Light talking about an uncle with learning disabilities who was sterilized because of it. Yeah, no, it's very real and very recent, and there are probably individual practitioners who still have that mindset today. Maybe not as overtly as it used to be, but yeah. So my concern here for Leo is that there's nothing overt indicating that. This is just a hunch.
So Evrart trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Okay, good. I'm glad I get to compliment him. I want to do that. I'm going to keep an eye out for Dr. Lemaitre. See if she raises the hackles or not. All right, I think you're doing a great job around here, Leo.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
The lieutenant smiles at the little man. I don't know if Kim is buttering him up, because Kim definitely does hold cops a little bit above everybody else. Like, that is one of his less charming features. Like, I do like him, but it does seem clear that he has this problem that many cops in the real world do have, where there's a bit of an us versus them and a bit of a we're better and more important than you. At least in his reckoning, he cares more about what happens to cops than he does about what happens to other people, to some degree. It's not that he lacks compassion or views everybody else as an enemy, but yeah. So I cannot be sure. He might just be like, this seems like a sweet guy, I'm going to be nice to him, but he may also be trying to get something out of this guy. Now, granted, there's a certain degree of me trying to get something out of this guy, so I can't fully judge Kim for that either.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot, really.
You don't even know me. You didn't think it was possible, but the smile becomes even wider.
Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass for them here. But you guys are alright.
Thank you.
The white rectangle on your clothes might not mean an awful lot in Martinez, but the recognition from an authority figure made Leo's day.
Okay, so he can tell we're cops. And so that's what he means. He's so happy that cops think he's doing a great job. I don't think I want to ask him about the note, because I don't think I should be letting him know that I saw the note. I don't think that's a good idea. What's in that container over there? Point to the container suspended from the crane arm.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up.
Smuggling. They are absolutely not going to be empty. Oh my god. I mean, they could very well be empty. There's no reason to assume otherwise. I mean, there's no reason not to just take his word for it. It makes sense, obviously. Sorry. Just suspiciously should be empty containers. I'm sorry. There's no reason to think this. I'm just challenging everything. I'm looking for the leader of the dock workers union.
Oh, you want Mr. Evrart then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood.
He coughs, then continues immediately.
Guys like Mr. Evrart and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Evrart and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school, we did, when we were boys.
There you go. There's confirmation. They were all children together.
Patience. Deep down you have the mental power to keep listening. Not many would, but you do.
Wow, Volition is definitely like the king of this conversation. Thank you, Volition. Amazing and Morkel, no, I appreciate that. All right, do not interrupt Leo. We're gonna let him go.
Had an arithmetics teacher, Miss Bellows. Her real name was Miss Bellams. She was a real pretty lady, but when she got mad...
There's a typo. This is the wrong form of let's. It shouldn't have the apostrophe there. I'm sorry. There are so many words in this game that, like, they are allowed typos. But I'm still going to point them out when I see them. Because that's what I do. That's who I am. That's how I roll.
All the boys liked her, if you know what I mean, mister. We used to sneak in her yard in the dark and peek through the window. One time we saw Miss Bellows with a fellow. Yes, we did. Yes, we did, mister.
He looks for signs of disbelief in your eyes. Okay, so I can either not say anything, or I can be like, no, you didn't. Okay, so I don't know exactly how to read this because they're not providing me with a tone of what my intent is. Because the obvious choice here, if I were trying to have this conversation and win this man over with my points and rhetoric, the obvious thing would be like, no, did you really? I mean, sneaking in her yard in the dark and peeking through the window is actually really fucked up, and they shouldn't do that. That's super not cool. Incredibly horrifying and not okay. I don't care how hot you think she is. You do not go staring in random people's windows like that. But I am a detective investigating a murder, trying to butter up this nice man. So I know when I'm dealing with Kim, the right answer generally is to just kind of quietly let him do his thing and don't draw attention to it. Everything in me says that I should say, no, you didn't. Because he looks for signs of disbelief in your eyes. And he's already saying we did. And I feel like I should be a participant in this conversation. Now, the game may be like, no, you're cutting him off. And he's like, yeah, you don't believe me. But if this line is delivered the way that I think it's delivered, I think that's the way to go. So we'll see if I do it wrong. I'm going to say, no, you fucking didn't.
Yes, we did. We did, mister. Indeed we did. Him was a big, big fellow. Used to drive the Troika near ours' school and everything.
Okay, that I think was the right answer. Okay, so none of this has any importance to anything, but if I were the game writers and I wanted to sneak in information into your brain, I would have a character like this dump a whole crap load of garbage with little tiny nuggets of gold buried in there. It's a really nice sleight of hand technique to give your audience something that they'll need later without drawing attention to it, so they don't question or think about it. Like, basically, you don't draw attention to it and you dump a bunch of stuff, but you include the thing that they need. So later, you can pick it up off of the desk, like out of the pile, and they'll be like, oh, I remember that. But they, at the time you give it to them, don't realize it's important. It's like when you're running a game, if you're a GM, and you introduce a group of characters all at once, and like 2 of them have like a sentence, and 1 of them has like 5 paragraphs. Gee, I wonder who's important here. Sometimes that's intentional, and you can get like, you're like, okay, we all know that the princess is going to be the more important one, so we're going to describe the princess. But if you really want to make it so that it doesn't seem like, if you don't want to draw attention so you can surprise people with how important someone or something is later, this is a nice trick. So if I were the writers, I would be doing something like that. So some of this garbage with Miss Bellows, Miss Bellums, this big fellow who used to drive the truck, I don't know what a... Oh, so it's like a car or something like that. Yeah.
Them was all naked too. That's all I got to say about that.
Oh my god. I will give his actor credit for the way he said that's all I've got to say about that. Like, just, he said it with like, you know, it's funny. Very interesting, very interesting. Thank you for telling me the whole thing. I do wonder what else I could have gotten out of this, but that's okay.
Thank you. Almost forgot. Mr. Evrart is in that container over there. I got distracted telling the story, but he's in there.
He's in a container? Okay. I'm gonna save. Container to his left? How is he in a container? I don't know. No, we're about to try the red check. I just saved. In case something horrifying that I can't live with happens. Because that can happen. Yes.
Oh, hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with... No trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
There's something interesting about the containers and making covers for them. Like, why would you make covers for containers? The whole thing is weird and suspect. So let us use logic. We have a 72% chance of getting it, but we just saved in case. Instead, Ocelot just throws himself. He just yeets himself off the cliff. We're probably gonna get a fail, just because we've gotten a lot of successes that we shouldn't have gotten, so we're probably gonna get a fail here. But hopefully I won't just, like I said, hopefully I won't just yeet myself into oblivion instead. He just falls over and everyone's like, what was that all about, buddy? And I'm pretty sure I've done all of the yeeting there is to yeet. Okay.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pine's livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in Union colors.
So are we taking this over? Is this a bid to take something over so that it's no longer Wild Pines somehow if we're recoloring them? But we're not painting them, which is permanent. We're making covers for them, which is temporary. All right.
It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core.
Either this looks like a massive redecorating operation, Kim, or Leo, has anyone told you why you need to change the covers? Or thanks, Leo, you've been very helpful. Okay, it looks like I might be able to ask all of these questions, but just in case I'm going to ask, has anyone told you why you need to change the covers?
No, not really. Mr. Evrart doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone.
I mean... Damn. Alright, this looks like a massive redecorating operation, Kim. So clearly it's a big deal. Clearly whatever's going on with that is too big for Evrart to explain to him. So some shenanigans is up. Alright, this looks like a massive redecorating operation, Kim.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
They're hiding it from the inside. They're keeping the harbor from knowing, I guess. Okay. Thanks, Leo. You've been very helpful.
Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all.
The little guy affirms merrily. All right, I'm not going to write the note or ask him about the note because that is a bad idea. I do not want to ask about things that will get back. Like if Evrart is like, yeah, so did 2 policemen come by? I don't want Evrart to be like, yeah, or I don't want Leo to be like, oh yeah, we chatted a whole bunch about some things. And then they asked about the murder, and then they talked about my note that was left inside your office that they're not supposed to go into. You know? Because I forgot that you'll be able to tell that we're cops, so. Okay, so he set a container to his left, which is this. Which I guess must be this way. Okay, I'm just taking a look at the containers because they are big. They are big. Okay, so if we go over here, as you can see, these ones have been covered. But I don't know whether all of them have, like, these ones have red doors, these ones don't, but I think it's the sides. What, I wonder, are they doing covering things? I guess we'll figure that out. I see the red door and you want to paint it black. I see what you're doing there, Chrono. Okay, well, I think we made some progress. I mean, we literally came right back to where I saved last time. So if you were to see the opening screen and the closing screen, you would think that we did literally nothing. But I think we did some stuff. The conversation with Leo was really interesting. I had some fun digging around in their stuff that we're not supposed to dig into. And I gave you guys 30 more minutes of gameplay to make up for the ramble at the beginning. How does that sound? Oh, I guess we are halfway to being able to pay rent, and I haven't even turned in my my recyclables. So that's exciting. We might actually be able to pay rent before noon, which would be great. Yeah, so now we have some information going into this. Okay, soon, oh soon, the green is gone and everything is red, is what he's singing. Evrart will be next week. And I feel like with Joyce, I went in very blind. This time, I'm going in with some information on Evrart. I don't know whether that's actually going to affect anything or not, but I do appreciate it. The feeling of having half an idea of something is unique, because in this game usually you have no ideas about anything. But I suspect that will continue to change as the game goes on. And I'm going to continue to get every little nugget of anything that I can out of anything. So yeah, I don't know what to call this, but I guess we'll name this stream Leo and the Office or something like that, and everyone's gonna expect Evrart, but we'll do Evrart next week. Okay, so just as a reminder to everybody, Tuesdays are Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. If you want to see goofy, silly stuff where I still talk about language way more than you would possibly expect, feel free to join us. That's a lot of fun. I do want to do a belated streamiversary stream. I just have to try to be in good enough health to do it. So we'll see. It's not going to happen this weekend. Maybe it'll happen the following weekend in August. I might do music and tarot is what I'm thinking about. I'll let you know when that's going to be. Stream that is not Evrart. I'm glad to know that you're all on the same page here. Thank you, Marshall. Yeah, it is I let people know this is like the slowest playthrough of Disco Elysium you can get. Yeah, and I'm going to have a new cover coming soon, a flute cover from Thousand Year Door. If you were on our Discord, you got a sneak preview of it. Feel free to join us if you want on the Discord. If not, I will see you all when I see you all. Please take care of yourselves, and thank you for your patience with my rambling. Take care and have a good night. You've been a wonderful audience, and I appreciate you all.